do authentic. I don't get along with niggas, I get along with bitches. I'm affiliates with gangsters, I don't conversate with snitches. Only move with the fam, we congregate for business. Only thing we got in common is to concentrate on riches. If somebody said we done it, we confiscate the witness. $100,000 record, now they Planet Fitness. It's the go. Keeping it the triggers.
Cut, you killing them. Shout out to Hawk School, the all-seeing high-flying Hawk School. Line them up.
I'm a wild Indian, you know I go crazy. Indian, that boy you gazy. I just keep it player, you can never play me.
Potato sugar?
Yes,
Django isn't a slave. Django is a free man, you understand? You can't treat him like any of the other niggas around here, because he ain't like any of the other niggas around here. You got it?
Damn, son, where'd you find this?
Ain't really Indian, that boy you gazy. I just keep it player, you can never play me. You got an ass so fat, girl, let's make a baby. And another one. Then I'm back to the trap, I'm trying to double some. She a bad woke chick and I love her tongue. We some jurisdiction boys, we some one-on-ones. Look, don't compare me to no Martin dog, I'm like Malcolm X. Job about our freedom, we'll leave a crack and stretch. Round of applause, boy, you know we clapping text. Chucky dog, child's play, yeah, nigga, that's what's next. Open up the cans just like Arizona. Pull up masked up like we got the Rona. We set up jurisdictions when we buy the corner. How you claiming that's your hood and you not the owner? Be the B, I just pulled up in the need for speed. Free the land, tell the colonizers that they need to leave. Wild Indian up in my veins, you know how we bleed. You ain't gotta lie about who he is, dog, just keep it G. We at war, we can't keep the peace. Since we at war, gotta keep the peace. Whack a comb, then I meditate. Should I need to breathe? Keep a Olmec head when we slide, dog, cause we the shit.
Like my niggas said, bitch, we the sheep. I can't keep the peace. If it pop off, then I want a piece. I'm just on release. I'm in go mode, motherfuck the thief. In these streets like EBT, when we at war, make peace with me. I don't give a damn, understand. Fuck who stole this land, white or black or tan. Understand, it's fuck who stole this land. Might have seen me get little buddy these hands. He wasn't no abo man. Now these dudes is Sambo man. They full of shit like my ammo can.
What's this guy's name? It's something Hawk. And it may sound stereotypical, but dude looks like he's done some time. And sounds like he's done some time.
Whatever, then I'm wrong. You got me now. You got me now. Oh, you figured me out. You fucking income fucking poop.
We have style, we got flavor, we got rhythm. I mean, the black man in America is the most copied man on this planet, bar none. Everybody want to be a nigga, but nobody want to be a nigga. How about that question?
It's the Spirit of God. See, the Spirit of God is omnipotent, and it works on you. It'll work on your ass, and I can be far, far away, because it's considered conscience, you know. Ain't nothing fell in my conscience. Stupid bitch. It's not of competition, it's of cooperation. Stupid ass house nigga.
Yo, 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 yo. Peace to the tribes. Peace to the tribes. Let me get some bows and arrows if you can hear me loud and clear. Let me see. Oh, yeah. Make sure I can hear my motherfucking self. Tribe. Matter of fact, I got some new shit for y'all, man. It's going to be lit. If you can hear me loud and clear, press 1. Press 1 if you hear me loud and clear. Oh, man, I done found some shit for y'all, man. I know Supreme Chief was live for 100 hours. Shout out Supreme Chief Holiday. Go subscribe to his channel. Shout out DJ Cut. So, I waited in line, but goddamn, man, phone check. Trap. Love y'all. But I got to get this shit out of my system, man. Y'all know how the shit be. And like, I forget the shit, man, because as per usual, I'm goddamn doing the research on where we left off with where did we leave off? Oh, African slave traders. And we was building on Paul Cuffy, the Wampanoag nigga with the invisible African daddy that nobody has any records of. I've researched it. It's all bullshit. Nobody can prove that. But we can prove that his mother's Wampanoag Indian, quote unquote. So he's Aboriginal, to say the least. You know what I'm saying? But all right, man. I'm high as shit. I'm gonna keep it all the way together with y'all. So I'm gonna temporarily turn off the chat so I don't see that shit. Cause I be wanting to talk to y'all on some high shit, man. Cause I love y'all. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I digress. So let me get straight to it, man. Let me get my shit together, man. Tonight's topic is the faces of Atlantis. Lost tribes. You know what I'm talking about? Matter of fact. There we go. Let's get it together, Hawk School. Hey, man, shout out to everybody that supports the channel, man. You see, I'm going to keep going up. I keep working. I keep studying. Keep dropping these jewels. You know what I'm saying? Keep dropping these jewels. What's this? This the Pineapple Express. I'm saving it. I'm saving that, man. We got something special, man. We going to the goddamn islands, man. Wait till y'all see what I got for you, man. I'm just trying to let you know what I'm saying. A few more people get in here for class. You know what I'm talking about? You already know what it is, man. You are now live with the Unconquered Tribes. You know what I'm talking about? Live from the Republic of Atlantis. Shanaka from the Blocker. Wild like Chewbacca. The Incredible Hulk. You know what I'm talking about? Tribe. Let's get into it, man. Let's get into it, man. Y'all ready to get to the lesson, man? Press 1. I know y'all collegiate. Press 1. Got the early birds, man. Maybe we should just shout out the early birds. You know what I'm talking about? Show some love. See what we got here, man. See who in the building, man. Shout out David Bell, Tribe, the Godfather, DJ ZPE. The elect, DJ ZPE. Tried and true I am. Tim B, the God Vlogs, Tribe. Who else in here, man? I know niggas sleep. Joshua Stewart in the building, Tribe. We woke. You know what I'm talking about? Niggas sleep, but we woke. That's all I can see right now, man. You know how they be hating on the stream and shit. But it's all love. Now let's get to it, man. I have found some very interesting things for you tonight. Oh yeah, man. I almost forgot, man. Shout out to everybody, man. We at 5K. You know what I'm talking about? We moving up in the world. We on our way to goddamn 10K. You know what I'm saying? So I'm thinking about I was gonna goddamn call it Hawk School 5K, but then I'm like, shit, we already at 5K. So shit, I'm gonna call it goddamn Hawk School 10K. But then I was like, shit, but then I'm selling myself short, so shit. Maybe I make it goddamn Hawk School 100K. You know what I mean? But then it's like, damn, should just be Hawk School 1 million. You know what I'm saying? All right. I really can't figure it out, man. So it's gonna be a fun one, man. Y'all gonna get some jewels, like always. Man, we finna fuck them up with this, y'all. Go ahead and smash that like if you just got in the building, man. You know what I mean? Even now live with the Unconquered Tribe. Let's get to it, man. We got shit to get to, man. We got shit to learn tonight. Press 1. No, we ain't gonna go there. And as I'm going through the build, we're gonna goddamn talk about how I got there. Cause like I say, I was, I'm lit, but I was studying Paul Cuffy. And we're gonna get back to the video we left off on, one of the videos in the other build, dealing with him. And of course, you know what I'm saying, we got some documents and shit for niggas, you know what I'm saying? We got some, what they call them. Oh, I digress. We got some motherfucking, primary documents. You know what I'm saying? We also, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, we going to the islands with it, man. Going to the islands with it, man. Y'all don't even know what we about to do, man. We about to embark, man, on some Atlantis shit. You know what I'm saying? Press 1 if you ready. We're gonna start right here. Hey man, why don't we do? Hey man, Hawk School 100 trillion, man. I don't, you know what I'm saying? We might well just be goddamn Hawk School billionaires. You know what I mean? And just keep it all the way official, man. Now that we done seen the Democratic plan, ZPE, we already know who we really are. Hey man, you gonna love this, man. I got some jewels, man. Y'all get ready, man.
I am Tushka Humak Sheila. My genius is NAAIPI, National Association for the Advancement of Indigenous People. NAAIPI is the premier indigenous institution in America. We are membered at the United Nations. Our goal is the repatriation of misclassified, misidentified, paper genocided, colored people, Negroes, African Americans, Native Americans that have been deceived throughout the establishment of this country. I am the voice. I am Timothy Drew. I am Marcus Garvey. I am me, the me that was Dr. King, the me that was Malcolm, the me that was Mose Dixon when he moved on Washington, D.C. to free the American Aborigine, forcing Lincoln to sign what he signed. Genius has come.
Of the economy.
Hold on, hold your horses, bitch. Hey man, you know what? I'm so glad, man. Shout out Joshua Stewart for the Cash App donation, man. I appreciate that. And I'd like to show my gratitude, man. Tribe.
Oh my Lord, thank you for blessing me. What am I to rhyme and do like it feels good when you know you're down.
Thank you. You know what I'm talking about? All right, let me get my notes. I ain't had time to roll up as much as I need to roll up, man, for this one right here. They tried to bury us in the dirt. They didn't know we were seeds. Press 1. Now, that gentleman I stumbled across, Tushkahomak, and he has an interesting video and some interesting information that I just stumbled across. You know what I mean? Or should I say it found me? You know? That's just how it should be happening. Don't let Joshua Stewart be the only one supporting the channel. You know what I'm talking about? Tribe.
Stupid bitch. It's not of competition, it's of cooperation. Stupid ass house nigga.
Bro Hair Serum is our best-selling product to help. Hey man, shout out Joseph for the cash app, man. Y'all got me goddamn doing the motherfucking hammer over here going crazy, man. Tribe.
Say, oh my Lord, thank you for blessing me. What a mind to rhyme and to hype me. It feels good when you know you're down.
So eventually what I decided to do is sort of flip what we usually do in museums, right? Usually you would see 1789 shipyard in Westport, parentheses, at Coxit. I decided to use its native name as the primary, as opposed to doing the reverse, because I really enjoyed that conversation, right? It's the same thing with when I talked about Paul being born on Cutahunka. That's the Wampanoag name for the island. The Wampanoag still call it Cutahunka, right? It's been anglicized, but that doesn't mean it's its rightful name. And I think as museum.
Okay, now just for the people who may not already know, you know, may not be up to speed. So this lady, she like the curator of the museum, and she overseeing like really how this nigga history, Dr. Akia de Barros Gomez. We're gonna have, I believe the video is in the the description of the last bill we did. So I may, you know, I take, like I said, I take for granted a lot of this shit be on my mind. So I started, you know what I mean? Let me take you back to where I was.
Before you renew Amazon.
Hold on, bitch. Where they at, man? Text my homeboys, man. Where the hell is that?
What a punk. What a fool. Mark.
It on the top, and then this beautiful wampum belt on the bottom. Native American people. So this entire territory of Old Dartmouth was sold for that amount.
Hey, we're gonna get to the bottom of some shit tonight. Press 1.
Territory. That's not all Wampanoag territory. By the organization Cultural Survival. Getting to Paul Cuffy's ancestry history. He was the son, the 7th child out of 10, the 4th boy of Ruth Moses and Cuffy Slocum, who married in 1747. And they highlight this thing that we rarely talk about in American history, which is the marriage of Native American women and men to African and African American women and men. And the way we sort of ignore the reality of this, and the reality and the legacy.
I really don't have the patience to listen to this bitch ramble about make believe right now. Let's fast forward.
2 pounds worth of wampum, 8 pair of shoes, and
So let's check out what these trader ass Indians sold the land for. Check this out.
the total of the sale was 30 yards of cloth, 8 moose skins, 15 axes, 15 pairs of breeches, 8 blankets, proprietors of the Plymouth colony. And I just want to read to you what the sale involved. So we're talking about 180 square miles of land, and the total of the sale was 30 yards of cloth, 8 moose skins, 15 axes, 15 pairs of breeches, 8 blankets, 2 kettles, 1 cloak, 2 pounds, and that's British pounds, not weight pounds, 2 pounds of wampum, 2 pounds worth of wampum, 8 pair of stockings, 8 pair of shoes, 1 iron pot, and 10 shillings of other commodities, which today would be valued at about $35,000. So this entire territory of Old Dartmouth was sold for that amount. And the reason that I'm bringing this up is this wasn't so far removed from Ruth Moses's experience. This would have been in her great-grandmother's time or her great-great-grandmother's time. And so this is the world she was inheriting. And of course, there's King Philip's War in 1676, which...
Make a mental note. King Philip's War. Because, I done seen, the Atlanteans build on this topic, but I overlooked it. I'm not too proud to say that I overlooked it. And I think my mind was like King Philip and thought like some Spanish or some French shit. I don't know what the fuck. My mind just kind of my mind subconsciously, like unconsciously, what the fuck ever took it in, but like I ain't really trip off of it. You know what I'm saying? Because I didn't even really realize what was being said. What was the subject matter? Stay with me.
And the reason that I'm bringing this up is this wasn't so far removed from Ruth Moses's experience. This would have been in her great-grandmother's time or her great-great-grandmother's time. And so this is the world she was inheriting. And of course, there's King Philip's War in 1676, which if you read colonial accounts, because that's mostly what we have, right, written down at least, it was a really devastating conflict. And in fact, it is called the most devastating conflict that ever happened on American soil because 1 in 10 people died. It was a really devastating conflict. And in fact, it is called the most devastating conflict that ever happened on American soil because 1 in 10 people died in soil because 1 in 10 people died. Mostly what we have, right, written down at least. It was a really devastating conflict. And in fact, it is called the most devastating conflict that ever happened on American soil because 1 in 10 people died in this conflict. But what we get from the records is the brutality, right, of King Philip, the brutality of the Wampanoag people. And the focus has really been on property damage and loss of colonial life, right, of King Philip in soil because 1 in 10 people died in this conflict of the Wampanoag people, right, of King Philip in soil because 1 in 10 people died in this conflict. But what we get from the records is the brutality, right, of King Philip, the brutality of the Wampanoag people, right, of King Philip, the brutality of the Wampanoag people, right, of King Philip, the brutality of the Wampanoag people. And the focus has really been on property damage. From the records is the brutality, right, of King Philip. From the records is the brutality, right, of King Philip, the brutality of the Wampanoag people. And the focus has really been on property damage and loss of colonial life. But it was devastating to local Native American populations like the Wampanoag. And when you think about the loss of land, the loss of life, the loss of sovereignty, right, and the ultimate enslavement of Native American peoples, many of which were put on ships and sent to the Caribbean. So many so that if you go to places like Bermuda now, there are full communities of Native American peoples that are the descendants of those enslaved people that were sent there. And so again, this would have happened. These stories would have been alive within Ruth Moses. And I'm
Hold on, tribe. Sorry if it was an echo. We ain't gonna speed past that, is we? Press 1 if you heard what she said. We only 10 minutes into the video. Press 1.
devastating to local Native American populations like the Wampanoag. And when you think about the loss of land, the loss of life, the loss of sovereignty, right, and the ultimate enslavement of Native American peoples, many of which were put on ships and sent to the Caribbean. So many so that if you go to places like Bermuda now, there are full communities of Native American peoples that are the descendants of those enslaved people that were sent there.
Wait a minute. Hold on. This bitch just said a whole earful. I got to roll up, and I already know what I'm about to tell y'all. And this shit is so crazy that and this should be right in our face, man. Let me get my shit together. Boom. So I'm about to drop some jewels. Okay, first, what we need to do is we need to make sure we know who King Philip. This is the most brutal war. What the fuck? Are we all up to speed with this war? Let's just get a little 2-minute refresher just in case. You know what I'm saying? No need for us to, go there. I got you, tribe. But you knew that. Press 1.
As the Puritans of New England expanded into Native American lands, tensions mounted between settlers and the Indians. This friction eventually exploded into the Pequot War of 1637.
The English really wanted to dominate this land, and they wanted to settle the land with their own people and displace the Native Americans.
When colonists built fences on Indian land and started to compete for the same game, Indians became infuriated.
They just came on your land and just started building fences. Who wouldn't be infuriated? Press 1. These motherfuckers killed me, man.
And the rage when Indians resisted their attempts to convert and the colonists became enraged when Indians resisted their attempts to convert them to Christianity. Hostility increased as both sides competed for trading relationships with the Dutch. And finally, the Pequots attacked.
Tensions broke out into a Pequot raid on English settlements in Connecticut. This gave the English an excuse to then put together an expedition to attack the Pequot settlements.
The English allied themselves with the Pequot's neighboring Indian enemies, including the Narragansetts of Rhode Island, and the Indian enemies, with the Pequot's allied themselves. The English allied themselves with the Pequot's neighboring Indian enemies. The English allied themselves. The English allied. The English allied themselves with the Pequot's neighboring Indian enemies. English allied themselves with the Pequot's neighboring Indian enemies. English allied themselves with the Pequot's neighboring Indian enemies, including the Narragansetts of Rhode Island and the Mohegans of Connecticut. Including the Narragansetts of Rhode Island and the Mohegans of Connecticut, including the Narragansetts enemies, including the Narragansetts of Rhode Island and the Mohegans of Connecticut.
The Pequots were starting to lose their power.
The English allied themselves with the Pequot's neighboring Indian enemies, including the Narragansetts of Rhode Island and the Mohegans of Connecticut.
The Pequots were starting to lose their power and their influence.
The English torched Pequot villages, savagely burning hundreds of Indians to death. Narragansetts of Rhode Island, its neighboring Indian enemies, including the Narragansetts of Rhode Island, The English torched Pequot villages, savagely burning hundreds of Indians to death. The English allied themselves with the Pequot's neighboring Indian enemies, including the Narragansetts of Rhode Island and the Mohegans of Connecticut.
The Pequots were starting to lose their power and their influence.
The English torched Pequot villages, savagely burning hundreds of Indians to death. By the end of the Pequot War, the tribe was nearly annihilated. It was such a brutal and catastrophic war that even the Pequot enemies who had allied themselves with the colonists were stunned by the savagery.
This was quite a shock to the native allies of the English, who were not used to waging war in such a lethal and devastating manner. Their tendency would be to capture these peoples, take them back home as captives, often to intermarry into their families or to work as servants.
The English allied themselves with the Pequot's neighboring Indian enemies, including the Narragansetts of Rhode Island and the Mohegans of Connecticut.
The Pequots were starting to lose their power and their influence.
The English torched Pequot villages, savagely burning hundreds of Indians to death.
Often to intermarry into their families or to work as servants and even possibly slaves for them, but certainly not to slaughter so many people and certainly not to slaughter so many women and children.
No slave.
I remember about the massacre through my grandmother. She always talked about it as if it happened yesterday.
When you think about the history of the United States, there are a few key dates that really made a difference, where the way events were before really shifted. And one of those dates was in 1637. The English and their Indian allies attacked a fort at Mystic, Connecticut.
The massacre at Mystic Fort did change relationships between the colonists and the Indians forever.
Allies attacked a fort at Mystic, Connecticut.
The massacre at Mystic Fort did change relationships between the colonists and the Indians forever.
It set the form for the taking of Indian land, and the process is repeated across the country.
The massacre at Mystic was the first time English people engaged in the wholesale slaughter of Native Americans. Slaughter of Native Americans. First time English people engaged in the wholesale slaughter, not be the last. May 26th, English people engaged in the wholesale slaughter of Native Americans, but it certainly would not be the last. May 26th, 1637 was a day that changed everything in the land that would become America. People.
All right, now I know we said we're gonna stay in this 100 years, but what's so interesting about this study that we're about to get into is that we're going this far back because we're actually gonna be able to bring what we learned here all the way into the now. And boy, wait till you see the end. Man, I got a hell of a finish line for these motherfuckers. Press 1 if you already knew it. Tribe, forever I love Atlantis, man. Share the live stream. Somebody woke. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, those See, my whole premise is that we already know the improved order of red men. You know what I'm saying? They was already infiltrating in the 1700s. So that's all them fake ass Indians up there. You know what I'm saying? But we also know that niggas was making alliances, Aborigines, so called. I don't know what they say about themselves. But they were making allegiance with these motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying? But see, you know, this Atlantis, niggas wasn't savage like that. That's how we fell out. That influence, that demonic influence, that democratic influence.
Left England in something that's become known as the Great Migration and came to between 1620 and 1640, 20,000 people left England in something that's become known as the Great Migration and came to New England.
It sounds more like the Great Invasion. Press 1, 20,000 motherfuckers. Like what is that? What is 20,000 of y'all doing? How is that not an invasion? Where is 20,000 motherfuckers going? To goddamn Rhode Island with the Narragansetts. Press 1.
New England. It was a chance to start a new life in a new world. For most of them, there was an intensely spiritual element to the journey as well. Imagine if you had left everyone you knew, sold everything you had, and shipped off to a place that you...
Hey man, fair use. Fuck this whack ass music and all these old scallywag ass romance novels about invading our motherfucking land. Press 1. Why shit always got to get romantic when motherfuckers goddamn invading our land? Press 1. What the fuck?
Principles.
Motherfucker, ain't no corrupt communication came out of my mouth. You know what the corrupt communication is? That's when you talk about the devil. He the devil. Your motherfucking communication is corrupted. Whatever, then I'm wrong. You got me now. You got me now. You got me now. Oh, you figured me out. You fucking income fucking poop.
British true believers who come to New England are not expecting to find Indians. Or if they think there might be some people there, they're not particularly concerned about how to deal with them. Expecting to find Indians.
Now these bitch ass niggas be talking some old motherfucking collegiate shit. You know what I'm saying? And goddamn me, this nigga is the motherfucking professor of world arts and cultures at UCLA, and this stupid motherfucker talking about they didn't expect to find Indians. The fuck?
Or if they think there might be some people there, they're not particularly concerned about how to deal with them.
Now, spoiler alert, these motherfucking scallywag improved order of motherfucking red man, goddamn pink toes ain't the motherfucking Pequots. Because that's your motherfucking aunties and uncles and goddamn great uncles. Press 1. They got this goddamn pale face up here like he a real motherfucking goddamn Indian. The fuck?
You killing me. Next caller.
North America, cultures as old and proud as any in Europe. One of the most respected and feared was called the Pequot.
The Pequots were the most powerful group of native peoples in southern New England at the time. Pequots were the most powerful group of Pequots were the most powerful group of native peoples in southern New England at the time that European settlers arrived.
Now the reason I want to build on this because I be telling niggas, bro, we had this whole motherfucker. We got forced down there to the black belt. We had the whole motherfucker, but motherfuckers pushing on us. Pause. You know what I'm saying? But so these was the most powerful niggas in New England before the goddamn got the Pilgrim motherfuckers sided up with these Narragansett Indian ass niggas who still at the motherfucking White House steps begging for a motherfucking bone. Press 1. But we're gonna get to that, bro. Watch how deep this shit get. And now we only 10 minutes in the Paul Cuffy video. I'm studying American Colonization Society. Press 1. Cause these niggas act like goddamn. Where my goddamn picture go? Like these niggas don't know what the fuck colonize mean. You know what I'm saying? It's a motherfucking British colony, my nigga. You don't know what these niggas doing? Sheesh, man. I gotta do all the goddamn homework for you, these goofy motherfuckers. Let's get back to it, man. We got a lot to cover.
They were the most numerous. They were the wealthiest. They were the most politically powerful. Southern New England at the time.
One of the most respected
At the time that Europe
and aggressive.
They were the wealthiest. They were the most numerous. They were the They were the most numerous. They were the wealthiest. They were the most politically powerful. They were the wealthiest. They were the most politically powerful.
Highly organized and aggressive, the Pequots had a gift for trade and expansion. They dominated nearby tribes, using threats and alliances to control the land and trade over hundreds of square miles.
Now, see, I know, and the people who are new may not know, tribe. So that's why we break it down. That these people look like so-called Negroes. You know what I'm talking about? And oh man, the proof of that we have, oh, man, it's gonna be something else. But like always, we wanna show the research how we got to where we end up, and hopefully these niggas have some motherfucking sense when they get done. You know what I'm talking to? You know what I'm talking about? Talking to him, shit. I'm high as shit. Fuck it.
Whatever, then I'm wrong. You got me now. You got me now. Oh, you figured me out. You fucking income fucking poop. Motherfucker. You the one going, you believe in death, huh? Goddamn murderer. Crucify my blessed brother. But when I find them, I'm gonna get them, motherfuckers.
Wampum was something we gave if we wanted a treaty.
The English.
And from
trade.
Land that included some of the most
was positive.
Were the most numerous. They were the wealthiest. They were the most politically powerful.
Highly organized and aggressive, the Pequots had a gift for trade and expansion. They dominated nearby tribes, using threats and alliances to control the land and trade over hundreds of square miles in what is now eastern Connecticut. Land that included some of the most fertile in the region.
The first.
All right, man. I'm sure it's, that's why I do this shit at night, because it makes me not even want to listen to this boring ass music and all this shit. We're gonna fast forward a bit.
conflicts, we think that it's Indians pitted against Europeans, but it's much more complicated than that. The people against other
tribe.
The decision to attack the Pequots
of goods moving
through disease and intertribal conflicts, the English began to feel that the New World was a place that they might not need to share. By 1637, the tensions in New England between the English settlers and the Pequot tribe were about to erupt into armed conflict. In May of that year, the Puritan leaders decided they must take bold action.
The decision to attack the Pequots was predetermined and was well calculated.
The English authorities in Plymouth and in
Now, I don't know if you know what they depicting, but these motherfuckers is having a lodge meeting, my nigga. When they talk about all the goddamn meetings, they was in the motherfucking little pubs and all this goofy ass shit, having their little secret meetings. You know what I'm talking about? And that's what's being portrayed here. Because it's them goddamn handshake gang motherfuckers on their usual goddamn Democratic Party. Democracy shit, you dig? I digress.
Boston and in Connecticut, intended to make an example of the Pequots. The attack.
The decision to attack the Pequots was predetermined and was well calculated.
The English authorities in Plymouth and in Boston and in Connecticut.
In May of that year, the Puritan leaders decided they must take bold action.
The decision to attack the Pequots was predetermined and was well calculated.
The English authorities in Plymouth and in Boston and in Connecticut intended to make an example of the Pequots. The attack was planned by the English to be a massacre.
Well, we agreed.
The English purposely sailed their ships by Pequot country to let the Pequots think that they were sailing away.
The English secretly landed in territory controlled by the Narragansett tribe.
To be a massacre.
Well,
the English authorities in Plymouth and in Boston and in Connecticut intended to make an example of the Pequots. The attack was planned by the English to be a massacre.
well, we agreed.
The English purposely sailed their ships by Pequot country to let the Pequots think that they were sailing away.
The English secretly landed in territory controlled by the Narragansett tribe, then marched overland toward Pequot country. Landed in territory controlled by the Narragansett tribe. Landed in territory controlled by the Pequot country. Along the way, they picked up
sailing away.
The English secretly landed in territory controlled by the Narragansett tribe, then marched overland toward Pequot country. Along the way, they picked up several hundred native allies from the Narragansett and Mohegan tribes. Along the way, they picked up several hundred native allies from the Narragansett and Mohegan tribes.
It's surprising that you have Indians who will ally with the English against other Indian groups.
By the Narragansett tribe, then marched overland toward Pequot country. Along the way, they picked up several hundred native allies from the Narragansett and Mohegan tribes.
It's surprising that you have Indians who will ally with the English against other Indian groups. That's one thing that people often don't know about these conflicts. We think that it's Indians pitted against Europeans, but it's much more complicated than that.
The Pequot relationship with the neighboring tribes is very complex. Some tribes they were at war with, some they were allied with, some they subjugated.
Prior to
at war with, some they were allied with.
Prior to the attack on the Pequots, the leader of the Narragansett forces had told them that he would like for them to spare the women and children. The leader of the Narragansett forces had told them that he would like for them to spare the women and children as Indian people usually did in their warfare.
The English obviously agreed to this, or they wouldn't have gotten the participation of the Narragansetts and Mohegans.
Traditional
we did in their warfare.
Inside, hundreds of May 20
warfare was very different than what you see in the Pequot War.
The participation of the Narragansetts and Mohegans.
Traditional native warfare was very different than what you see in the Pequot War. Mohegan Indian people, Narragansett people, none of them had any idea what they were getting into.
It's Mohegans.
Traditional native warfare was very different than what you see in the Pequot War. Indian people, Mohegan Indian people, Narragansett people, none of them had any idea what they were getting into.
May 26, 1637. In almost complete darkness, just before dawn, the English forces and their native allies, commanded by John Underhill and John Mason, quietly prepared to attack the Pequot fort at Mystic. Inside, hundreds of men, women, and children lay sleeping. About John Underhill and John Mason quietly prepared to attack the Pequot fort at Mystic. Inside, hundreds of men, women, and children lay sleeping, about 1/3 of the entire Pequot tribe.
You had a circular palisade, a wall that was built by trees.
1/3 of the entire Pequot tribe sleeping, about 1 May 26, 1637. In almost complete darkness, just before dawn, and divided the forces up, quietly prepared to attack the Pequot fort at Mystic. Inside, hundreds of men, women, and children lay sleeping, about 1/3 of the entire Pequot tribe.
You had a circular palisade, a wall that was built by tree stumps laid in a circle and pointing upwards and sharpened at the top. And that had 2 entrances at each side of the circle where the walls kind of overlapped each other, and there'd be just a space, wide enough for a person to get through.
The English troops rose and they commended themselves to God. And then they counted on more than if they could get in without being detected, they could achieve their goal of killing the inhabitants and taking away whatever spoils there were for themselves. What they counted on more than anything was the element of surprise for it. And then they moved toward this palisaded fort. What they counted on more than anything was the element of surprise. If they could get in without being detected. Whatever was there. And started entering. They pulled the brush out of the way and they went inside and started entering wigwams and slashing whatever was there. Brush out of the way and they went inside and started entering wigwams.
John Mason felt that the resistance was too fierce. And he realized that they could not kill everybody by hand-to-hand fighting.
So he ran inside, he got a torch with one of the fires, and he came out and he yelled, "We must burn them." He yelled, "We must burn them." Fires, and he came out and he yelled, "We must burn them." So he ran inside, and he got a torch with one of the fires, and he came out and he yelled, "We must burn them."
And that plan was to set fire to the fort, retreat outside the fort to prevent anyone from escaping.
The Englishmen ran outside, and the Indians had a choice to make. stay and die a death under fire, or try to get out.
Being a DIY land.
Stay with me.
I'm in the woods of Wayland, Massachusetts. This is the town where I grew up. This part of town is mostly conservation land, but that wasn't always the case. In fact, this trail right here, this used to be an important stagecoach route called the Old Berlin Road, and was traveled extensively on during colonial times. These foundations are all that remain of a tavern that was once on the Old Berlin Road, a popular waypoint for travelers. According to local legend, a later owner of the tavern found 13 skeletons buried beneath the floorboards. It wore masks, but there was always a man named Captain Tavern.
13 skeletons. Press 1.
Apparently, the tavern attracted some rather disreputable characters, including a semi-mythical highwayman named Captain Lightfoot.
Captain Lightfoot sounds like Captain Pinktoe. Press 1.
It's said that Lightfoot was a careful man. Most highwaymen wore masks, but there was always a chance that one of their victims might identify them. Lightfoot was a careful man. A semi-mythical highwayman named Captain Lightfoot. Lightfoot was a careful man. Most highwaymen wore masks, but there was always a chance that one of their victims might identify them. So Lightfoot left nothing to chance. According to local legend, a later owner of the tavern found 13 skeletons buried beneath the floorboards. It's been known as the Tavern of the Damned ever since. There's a rich, forgotten history in this privileged suburban town and other religious exiles. 1675, there were 4 English colonies in New England. Massachusetts Bay, the largest, stretched from the Atlantic coast to the upper Connecticut River Valley. Plymouth centered around the Pilgrims Landing and incorporated Cape Cod. Connecticut was made up of port towns on Long Island Sound and farming communities up the Connecticut River to the modern-day border with Massachusetts. And then there's Rhode Island, the black sheep of the bunch. It was largely up the Connecticut River to the modern-day border with Massachusetts. And then there's Rhode Island, the black sheep of the bunch. It was largely populated by Baptists, Quakers, and other religious exiles. About 20,000 white colonists lived in New England. Quakers and
it's the information is really the story is going to tell itself in the end. So you got the Nipmuc, the Narragansett, the Mohican, the Pequot, Wampanoag. Here's Martha Vineyard over here. This is that's old dirty people land over there. That's what got stolen from them. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, that's dirty shit right there. Where my nigga at, man? Y'all see the map? Stay with me, man. Wait till you see where we going. I wanted to shout my nigga out, man, since that was his people land that got stole. Press 1.
What kind of Indian are you?
Like Tonto Indian?
Shinnecock Indian.
Really? You're a Shinnecock?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know you're a Shinnecock.
Yeah, could have fooled me.
That's the kind I am.
Hey.
So you should be Big Chief Bastard, not Old Dirty.
His family was here when Columbus landed, huh?
Is that right?
Yes.
So you are not a black man, you're an Indian?
I'm an Indian.
No kidding.
religious exiles. About 20,000 white colonists lived in New England. For the most part, they were deeply religious Puritans who valued industry and evangelism above all else. Blessed are the poor in spirit. The Puritans' missionary work had been fairly successful. They had established several communities of praying Indians, Christian Algonquin people, fairly successful. Missionary work had been fairly successful. Several communities of praying Indians, fairly successful. They had established several communities of praying Indians. the largest of these fairly successful. They had established several communities of praying Indians. They had established several communities of praying Indians, Christian Algonquin people. The largest of these was Natick, Massachusetts. Praying Indians lived according to English customs, but did not enjoy the full rights of Englishmen. Most of them languished in poverty and dealt with constant prejudice from their white neighbors. Historically, relations between these tribes have been cool at best. Each tribe was ruled by a sachem, a paramount chief. The sachem of the Pokanoket Wampanoag was Metacomet, King Philip himself. In 1675. The major tribes were the Nipmuc, the Mohegan, the Narragansett, and the Wampanoag. Historically, relations between these tribes have been cool at best. Excellent English, but make no mistake, Metacomet. Historically, relations between these King Philip himself, ruled by a sachem, best, paramount chief. The sachem of the Pokanoket Wampanoag was Metacomet, King Philip himself.
So King Philip ain't nobody named Philip. King Metacom is an Indian, press 1. But we gotta connect the whole story for the whole bill so it all makes sense. Stay with me now.
He was educated at Harvard, where he became intimate.
Wait a minute. Is they gonna speed past that? Press 1. Oh, we gotta rewind the year and everything. Harvard.
New England, on the other hand, were being squeezed out of their ancestral lands. There were about 10,000 natives across the region in 1675. The major tribes were the Nipmuc, the Mohegan, the Narragansett, and the Wampanoag. Historically, relations between these tribes have been cool at best. Each tribe was ruled by a sachem, a paramount chief. The sachem of the Pokanoket Wampanoag was Metacomet, King Philip himself.
Metacomet. You heard him say comet too, didn't you? Yeah. Oh, just wait. Just wait to see where I take you. Yeah, Harvard, nigga. What year is it? Somebody put it in the chat.
Tribes have been cool at best. Each tribe was ruled by a sachem, a paramount chief. The sachem of the Pokanoket Wampanoag was Metacomet, King Philip himself. He was educated at Harvard, where he became intimately familiar with Puritan customs. King Philip himself. He was King Philip himself. The sachem of the Pokanoket Wampanoag was Metacomet. Sachem of the Pokanoket Wampanoag was Metacomet, where he became intimately familiar with Puritan customs. Each tribe was ruled by a sachem, a paramount chief. The sachem of the Pokanoket Wampanoag was Metacomet, King Philip himself. He was educated at Harvard, where he became intimately familiar with Puritan customs and probably spoke excellent English. But make no mistake, though he had spent much of his life amongst Europeans, he was not their friend.
In January 1675, Josiah Winslow, governor of the Plymouth colony, took a meeting with John Sassamon, a praying Indian. Sassamon warned him that Metacomet was planning a major offensive against him,
a paramount chief. The sachem of the Pokanoket Wampanoag was Metacomet, King Philip himself. He was educated at Harvard, where he became intimately familiar with Puritan customs and probably spoke excellent Metacomet, King Philip himself. Where he became intimately Pokanoket Wampanoag was Metacomet, King Philip himself. He was educated at Harvard, where he became intimately familiar with Puritan customs and
Now, we're just gonna take a little break just because I want to add on. Now we going back on Paul Cuffy. You see what's going on. We've been running this shit. But just wait. Just wait to see where I'm gonna take you with this.
and probably spoke excellent English. But make no mistake, though best. Each tribe was ruled by a sachem, a paramount chief. The sachem of the Pokanoket Wampanoag was Metacomet, King Philip himself. He was educated at Harvard, where he became intimately familiar with Puritan customs and probably spoke excellent English. But But make no mistake, though he had spent much of his life amongst Europeans, he was not their friend.
In January 1675, Josiah Winslow, governor of the Plymouth colony, took a meeting with John Sassamon, a praying Indian. Sassamon warned him that Metacomet was planning a major offensive against the English. His goal? To drive them back into the sea.
Later that month, John Sassamon's body was found beneath the ice of Assawampset Pond. His neck had been broken.
Winslow, governor of the Plymouth colony, took a meeting with John Sassamon, a praying Indian. Sassamon warned him that Metacomet was planning a major offensive against the English. His goal? To drive them back into the sea.
Later that month, John Sassamon's body was found beneath the ice of Assawampset Pond. His neck had been broken.
The English arrested 3 Wampanoag men in connection to the murder. Another praying Indian testified. The English arrested 3 Wampanoag men in connection to the murder. Another praying Indian testified against them, and in June 1675, they were hanged. Soon word of the executions reached Mount Hope, Metacomet's homeland. The English arrested 3 Wampanoag men in connection to the murder. Another praying Indian testified against them, and in June 1675, they were hanged. Soon word of the executions reached Mount Hope, Metacomet's homeland. The Wampanoag were outraged. In their view, the English had exceeded their authority and set a dangerous precedent.
2 weeks later, a band of Wampanoag warriors burned the town of Swansea in Plymouth to the ground and slaughtered many of its inhabitants. The English responded quickly. A joint military force of militia from Plymouth and Massachusetts Bay descended on Metacomet's base on Mount Hope. On June 27th, as the English militia prepared to sweep the Mount Hope Peninsula and destroy the Wampanoag, there was a total eclipse of the moon visible over Massachusetts.
Now, see them holy signs right there. Shout out Metacomet, man. Long live Metacomet. Straight up. Real nigga, man. But you gonna see, man, this shit crazy. Just stay with me because the people, the like they blood, this like I always say, the spirit is in the blood. These niggas, they descendants is still on this same snitch ass, police ass, hoe ass shit. Wait for it.
The militia grew apprehensive. Some said the eclipse, which lasted over an hour, was an evil omen. The Indians, however, saw it as a sign that ultimate victory would be theirs. Under cover of darkness, the Wampanoag boarded canoes and slipped away to Pocasset country on the mainland to continue the fight.
The English arrived at Mount Hope to find the Wampanoag wigwams deserted. Metacomet's escape ensured that the war would continue.
Historians such as Douglas Edward Leach have suggested that war came before Metacomet was truly ready. Perhaps the attack on Swansea had been the work of a few hot-headed young warriors, acting contrary to Metacomet's orders. The Indians left no written records of the war, so we will never know for sure. But Metacomet...
Now, how the fuck a nigga went to Harvard and he ain't got no written records? This nigga lying about history, ain't he, man? Press one.
A funky ass bitch. Why are you trying to jump to a bitch's motherfucking defense?
When's we gonna be free? That is a good question, my man. How about nowish?
I don't give a fuck what you think, bitch. Your thoughts ain't my thoughts. Bitch, I'm flowing straight from the survival scroll. Cut that bitch off. Next caller.
tribe on his side.
The powerful Nipmuc of central Massachusetts.
The Indians left no written records of the war, so we will never know for sure. But Metacomet did have one major tribe on his side.
The powerful Nipmuc of central Massachusetts. Over the course of the summer and the autumn, they staged daring raids on English settlements. sending the colonies into a panic.
The violence the Indians committed that summer was...
Hey man, share the live stream. We're gonna leave that on the screen right there. So you got these Narragansett snitch ass police ass Indians. Goddamn, them and the Quakers goddamn massacring the Pequots. All right, we're gonna fast forward because we Nighthawk and Skywalker. We ain't got time for all this scallywag shit with all this extra shit on it. You know what I'm saying? All this mayonnaise, man.
Nevertheless, the fire of...
The last great Native American victory of the war was fought right here in Sudbury, Massachusetts in April 1676. 500 Wampanoag and Nipmuc warriors surrounded a unit of Massachusetts militia and wiped them out.
Nevertheless, the fire of native resistance was burning down to its embers. The fearsome Nipmuc, who had inflicted worse defeats against the English than any other tribe, were effectively neutralized at the Battle of Turner's Falls in May 1676. As for the Wampanoag, starvation and disease were taking their toll. Throughout the spring and summer, hundreds of hostile natives gave up the fight and surrendered to colonial authorities. The English were also changing up their tactics. The colonies, especially Plymouth, had begun to appreciate the value of allied native scouts and warriors, who were expert trackers and born guerrilla fighters.
Medic Comet saw the writing on the wall. He fled back to Mount Hope, his ancestral homeland. A dashing frontiersman named Captain Benjamin Church, commanding a small company of Englishmen and native allies, set off in pursuit. Church's men surrounded the Wampanoag camp at Mount Hope on August 12th before dawn. They took their positions and opened fire. During the battle, 2 of Church's men spotted a big Indian running through the forest. One of them, an Englishman, his men surrounded the Wampanoag camp, ancestral homeland. A dashing frontiersman named Captain Benjamin Church, commanding a small company of Englishmen and native allies, set off in pursuit. Church's men surrounded the Wampanoag camp at Mount Hope on August 12th before dawn. They took their positions and opened fire. During the battle, 2 of Church's men spotted a big Indian running through the forest. One of them, an Englishman, drew bead with his rifle, pulled the trigger, and the piece misfired. So his companion, a praying Indian named Big Indian, running through the forest. One of them, an Englishman, drew bead with his rifle, pulled the trigger, and the piece misfired. So his companion, a praying Indian named John Alderman, shouldered his rifle, took a careful aim, and killed the fleeing man.
The 2 men approached the big Indian's corpse. They recognized him immediately. Metacomet of Pokanoket, sachem of the Wampanoag, known to white men as King Philip.
A funky ass bitch. Why are you trying to jump to a bitch's motherfucking defense?
Immediately. Metacomet of Pokanoket, sachem of the Wampanoag, known to white men as King Philip.
Captain Church! We got him!
Apparently, Alderman cut off King Philip's hand, kept it in a jar, and showed it to people at taverns for a fee. Cheers. Taverns for a fee.
We got him!
Apparently, Alderman cut off King Philip's hand, kept it in a jar, and showed it to people at taverns for a fee. Cheers. King Philip was dead, but several of his men survived the August 12th battle, including his shrewd chief lieutenant, the aged Anawan.
Captain Church, acting on information provided by Wampanoag prisoners, tracked Anawan to his camp, descending down a sheer cliff face to achieve the element of surprise.
But instead of fighting, Anawan decided to take a meal with Benjamin Church. He even presented him with Metacomet's own belt of wampum as a sign of respect. Despite Church's protests, though, Anawan was taken in chains to Plymouth and later executed.
As a young man, Anawan had probably attended the first Thanksgiving, but he lived to see his.
Here this nigga go with this bullshit ass romantic music. I done heard enough. Nigga coming to dinner and the nigga y'all eating them and shit. Press 1. So all you old fuck ass friendly society of friend ass niggas, that's what the fuck you get, man. That's why these niggas up there arguing about these motherfucking treaties and shit that they have with these goddamn two-tongue motherfucking fork-tongue motherfuckers. Press 1.
Talk to the house of Israel for a minute, huh? If you're really serious and you're looking for a Christ man, the one who anointed with the Lord, with the Spirit of the Lord to do his will, I'm that nigga. You not stop faking.
Get this little weird, good posture ass nigga off the screen. We got more shit to do, man. So I just wanted to give the people a background of this war. All right.
They form together.
Now, what we about to do here is really get into some shit, because remember, earlier in the video, when we were just getting on the Paul Cuffy thing, you know what I'm saying? And the lady mentioned two things. The first 10 minutes, King Philip's War, one of the most important wars. You know what I'm saying? Because it shifted, you know what I mean, the whole control of shit. They got to see which one of these niggas was two-faced, fuck-face ass niggas. Press 1. All they doing is trading on these niggas still, but it's crazy because these same niggas is still the police. So we're going to get through it so that it ain't too long of a video. But this shit here. Oh, yeah, I digress. There's one more thing she said. That there are Native American tribes in Bermuda. Did you hear that? Press 1. Bermuda? Hold on, man. Hold on, Hawk School. Hold on, Hawk School. Yeah, y'all thought I let that shit slide right past, right? Nah, man. Watch this. So, I don't even want to spoil it. But at the same time, I don't want to have to talk through the video. So, because remember what the topic is. Lost Tribes of Atlantis. We had to give you a little background, you know what I'm talking about? You heard all this talk about these Pequots, you know what I'm saying? Niggas supposed to rule the world, you know what I mean? But all we see is pale faces, press 1. Shit looking a little suspect, so. I really need to roll up, but. So what's going on? Bermuda Triangle, blah, blah, blah. The Bermuda or Devil's Triangle is an area of ocean found off the southeastern tip of the United States. As a region of water indelibly connected with the mysterious vessel disappearances. The popular perception is that countless boats and planes have been inexplicably lost there. The triangle extends from Bermuda to Miami and then to Puerto Rico, and it is said to contain a supernatural secret. Blah, 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 blah. Spooky, spooky, spooky. Don't go there. Whatever you do, it's scary. The fuck? Somebody trying to keep us out. Stevie Wonder know that. Press 1. I'm going to let you know why they want to keep us away from there. It's a nice topic. Lost Tribes of Atlantis. Please share the live stream if you're just now tapping. Shout out to everybody supporting the tribe. Shout out to people who contributed to the channel's growth. You know what I'm talking about? We do appreciate it. Shout out to all the new subscribers. Shout out to goddamn the tribe. We 5K deep in this bitch. I digress.
St. David's. This is a fact that is backed by the records and ship. Bermuda was originally uninhabited until it was discovered in 1609 due to a shipwreck of the Sea Venture. Many Pequots that were captured during the Pequot Massacre and following wars were sent to Bermuda as
All right. Thankfully, this whole video isn't this fucking robot shit, but I swear it's like this to goddamn keep a nigga from even wanting to pay attention. Press 1. All right, so because I hawked through it, I'm gonna goddamn roll up because I earned it. You know what I'm saying? I ain't upload my. I had a video for the goddamn for the be right back shit. You know what I'm saying? And I don't think I uploaded it yet. I need to give me something to drink, man, because this shit about to get heavy. Straight up. Let's try this.
Everything I do authentic. I don't get along with niggas. I get along with bitches. I'm affiliates with gangsters. I don't conversate with snitches. Only move with the fam. We congregate for business. Only thing we got in common is to concentrate on riches. If somebody said we done it, we confiscate the witness. $100,000 record, not a Planet Fitness. It's the go. Keeping it the triggers.
Cut, you killing them. Shout out to Hawk School, the all-seeing high flying Hawk School.
Line them up. I'm a wild Indian, you know I go crazy. Indian, that boy you gazy. I just keep it player, you can never play me. You gotta ask.
Yeah, and I'm back. Tribe, just like that. Don't worry about my delicious drink. Pay attention. All right, so check it out. Let's say, oh yeah, this is. I was gonna. I say the Pineapple Express for. We'll wait till we get to dropping these jewels. Oh, this other shit. So Bermuda was originally uninhabited until it was discovered in 1609 due to a shipwreck of the Sea Venture. Come on, robots. I don't want to fast forward because I'm going to fuck around and skip some shit, you know what I'm saying? So maybe this is just my chill read time. Many Pequots that were captured during the Pequot Massacre and following wars were sent to Bermuda as slaves and were placed on an island called St. David's. This is a fact that is backed by the records and a shipping log of a Captain White of Summers Island whom purchased 80 Pequot families to serve as slaves on his estate. St. David's is an island that was isolated from the mainland. There was no means of escape. These people lived in isolation for many decades, centuries even. All of the inhabitants, no matter what their tribal affiliation, were called Mohawks. It was a dirty nickname for the St. David Islanders given to them by uneducated Bermudians. After many generations of being called Mohawk, many became convinced that that they were Mohawk, despite the fact that a man named Jacob Minor, who is an ancestor to most of the St. David Islanders, told the Bermudian courts in the 1700s that he was a quote-unquote Pequot and that he was captured while fishing in the Long Island Sound. Over the years, and after settling into a pattern of a new lifestyle, many began to carve a life out of this island, and now home that they had inherited many miles from their homeland. This is a documentary on the reconnection of the descendants of the Pequots that was sent to Bermuda and the current Pequots of today. Oh, yeah, man. I got some shit for y'all. So, y'all ready to see these Pequots, man? That y'all heard so much about. See, because these were the powerful Indians that these old goddamn Freemason ass niggas. Yeah, I said it, goddamn. Do what you gonna do with the live stream, nigga. Tribe, motherfucking tribe. You know the vibe. So they done sold our niggas off. Oh yeah, I said our niggas. The fuck? Long live the Republic of Atlantis. So yeah, these Pequot Indians, the richest, wealthiest, strongest, you know what I'm saying? We done found some of their descendants. If you can't wait to see what they look like, press 1. Oh man, share the live stream. We almost got 33 in the chat. Watch this, man. You ain't seen nothing yet. Now, let me give you a little context here so we can fast forward. You know, this is the gifted and the elect. So now that the Pequots have been found, I think they just made contact with them in like 94. So these niggas is untampered with Pequot Indians. You know what I'm saying? So-called slaves sold out by Narragansett ass niggas. Press 1. That's why we had to do a little background. Who sold these niggas into slavery? So now, motherfuckers trying to befriend them again, and now they want to, spoiler alert, they're trying to indoctrinate them with the goddamn teepee Indian shit. You know what I'm talking about? Press 1.
You will give me TP. Give me your TP. You will give me TP. Are you threatening me? TP. You must give me your TP. I need TP for my bunghole. You will give me TP.
Y'all ready? Press 1. Here come the Pequots.
Okay, this area where we are now is called Dark Bottom. This is a property owned by the Bermuda government now. But many, many years ago, this area, including all these houses that are here, was covered by cedar trees and other vegetation. Earlier I showed you a picture of it, and you can see at the bottom of the picture all these cedar trees. And what the Allies did over 100 years ago or more, they cut a pathway into the center of these cedar trees and other vegetation. And then in the center, they cut another opening area. And in that area, once it was cut out, it was still dark because the vegetation was so thick, thus the name Dark Bottom. And once they cut out the center part, the elders used to light a fire and dance and sing around this fire in a foreign language. The language has been lost over the years, but St. David's Island still use few words here and there that are different from the rest of the island. Now, whenever we have a powwow here, our relatives from the States drop their bags and they come right here. And we drop their bags, dance and sing around this fire.
Yeah, man. That's your people. So nowadays, since 94, they've been going over there trying to powwow these niggas out.
We make it look easy. Walk with your boys.
Damn, son, where'd you find this?
In a foreign language.
So now what we're about to see is the descendants of these Pequots. Now, of course, as I said, they were infiltrated in about 94. But as you can see, this is clearly a so-called Negro. You know what I'm talking about? Pequot Indian. And as if you're late to the goddamn class and you didn't see that, according to ship logs, you know what I'm saying, and court documents, these niggas are Pequot Indians that were enslaved from the Americas, sold out by Narragansetts. That's why we did a brief little, you know what I'm saying, little history before we got here. And now they're even going to show, because what's happening is that some of these people you're going to see, and we're going to fast forward in the future because, you know, I'm from the future. So I'm going to bring it back for some of these niggas who still in the, too far in the past, actually, to even know what the fuck is going on in reality. That, I digress. Some of these people are trying to pretend that they're not Indians just to blend in. You know what I'm saying? And it's very interesting to see. Just stay tuned. These are the lost tribes of the Pequots, Algonquins, which are motherfucking Atlanteans, motherfucking Cherokees, all this shit, niggas, the black belt, hi-ya, motherfucker.
You know, I'm surgical with this bitch, Jake. How you want a dog?
Amazing. You could let that weird ass nigga goddamn talk all he want. ZPE don't even trip. That nigga, I'm not reading that shit out loud unless that nigga send a super chat. You know what I'm talking about? Tribe, press 1.
Giving you more of what you hoping for. You ain't hoping in the Lord, huh? You hoping in vain, material, superstitious shit. That's why you can't see me, house niggas.
Why don't you click your heels together 3 times and go back to Africa?
Opening area, and in there it was cut out. It was still dark because the vegetation was so thick. Sacrifice their lives, what have you. And then once we have that ceremony, it may last an hour. Sometimes it gets very emotional. Certain words are said.
Right, because
St. Davis, wisdom or lack of it, decided to take the board to first cleanliness to Bermuda. It's the old fort back out here, and the passengers, the 140 men in 10 minutes, came ashore here where talking about. You know, don't worry, we know what they're talking about. Yeah. And particularly if they get excited, they start chopping words up and using different words. And but St. David's Islands know what they're saying.
Understand we're at Fort St. Catherick Beach here, where
this at the background here is Fort St. Catherine's Beach, as well as the old fort. Many years ago, and like I said, 1609, the Sea Venture sunk, was shipwrecked out here, and the passengers, the 140 men in 10 minutes, came ashore here, and in essence started the colonization of Bermuda. Behind me is the stockades that were used by the colonists to whip slaves and humiliate them. In the background there's a replica of the Deliverance. This was and it's to the inch. It's built on land with a concrete base. It's made of wood. And that was the ship that brought the first colonialists to Bermuda. Inside, it's not open to the public at the moment, but inside you have the slave quarters and all that sort of stuff. And the conditions, like I said earlier, are not the best, or were not the best. On the church property, just below the steps on the left there, for many, many years, there was a plaque, and it gave the history of this church and the date and when it was built, etc. And also included the fact that not only blacks were buried up here, but Native Americans, Americans from the West. On the church property.
Of course, you have to filter through the mud, but stay with me.
Just below the steps on the left. So
that kept the St. David's Island people so close.
The plaque down and refused to put it back up. Wisdom. So we had no recourse. And now they here, but Native Americans were buried here. Sign here, but it doesn't indicate that.
Burial ground for slaves and free blacks. Same old bullshit. Press 1.
And directly that Native Americans were buried here, but Native Americans were buried here.
Tell me.
So we had no recourse. And now they put this here, sign here, but it doesn't indicate that directly that Native Americans were buried here, but Native Americans were buried here. It doesn't indicate that directly that Native Americans were buried here, but Native Americans were buried here.
Tell me about, what do you think that kept the St. David's Island people so close and connected? Because everybody knows everybody.
Right, because of that island, see, you know, where they can get off that island until they hit the bridge built.
They built the bridge.
That bridge is built, I think, 1930. And that's why they kept together. We used to swim. We bathed just on the island.
Oh,
we ran in.
Hold on, I'm gonna move this overlay so you'll be able to see the words on the screen. Very interesting because they asking some questions. Because I guess this lady here, I think her name is Morningstar or some shit. And if I'm correct, Morningstar is Lucifer. I digress. Press 1. So she's here with the Narragansett niggas, and they goddamn indoctrinating these motherfuckers. Excuse me. Our people. And indoctrinate, which means instruct. And they're teaching them how to be quote unquote Native Americans. But now this nigga right here saying that he old school. That's why I wanted to move, because he's talking about how he used to swim like a motherfucking fish, like a dolphin. But the old lady on the left, she want to pretend like she not a Native American to blend in like she from Bermuda. This the same shit our people do here. You know what I'm saying? Because you got niggas like the motherfucking Uncle Tom ass nigga in the chat. You know what I'm saying? But watch this.
And see, you know, where they can get off that island until they hit the bridge built.
They built the bridge.
That bridge is built, I think, 1930. And that's why they kept together. We used to swim. We bathed just on the island.
Oh,
we ran in low tide. And had to do it like 10, 15 minutes. I come right back. Because I wasn't a good swimmer after it.
We have a young lady.
Get off that island.
It says being Native American, and of course we know that's a false term. Oh, I have some great shit for y'all at the end of this. I don't know if we even gonna get to the Paul Cuffy shit because I want to keep this short and we're gonna get to the point. But and I want you to really see these Pequots and and the lost tribes of Atlantis. Fuck what this nigga talking about, nigga. You don't exist, nigga. How about that? Press 1. Yeah, man. We on our way to 10K too, bitch ass nigga. You bitch ass nigga. The fuck? What this nigga thought, tribe?
Tom, next caller. You don't like it? Kiss my ass. You don't like it. It's my house. Hell, you trust in hell, motherfucker, and you already in hell. Just like I trust in heaven and I'm already there, motherfucker. You the one going, you believe in death, huh? Goddamn murderer. Crucify my blessed brother. But when I find them, I'm gonna get them, motherfucker.
Being Native American and from St. David's was so disliked by other Bermudans at one time that some of the elder St. David's Islanders don't like to admit their own lineage. Much like here in the Americas. Press 1.
We have a young lady over here named Pearl Mines. Her people are Indians.
And they're from St. David's.
Yeah, from St. David's. But we have a young lady over here named Pearl Mines. Her people are Indians.
And they're from St. David's.
Yeah, from St. David's. But they were Indians. The Indian descent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How do you know?
Huh?
How do you know they're Indian descent?
Well, we do because we looked them up and all like that.
You looked them up and you knew.
Yeah.
And the people in St. David's knew who the Indians were.
Yeah.
What about the Millets, Mom?
The Millets, yeah.
The Millets were Indians?
The Millets lived right up next to us. Up in the west end of St. David's. So they, and we knew them.
And if everybody's related on St. David's Island, wouldn't they have Indian blood too? And if everybody's related on St. David's Island, wouldn't they have Indian blood too? Millets were Indians?
The Millets lived right up next to us. But they were Indians. The Indian descent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How do you know?
Huh?
How do you know they're Indian descent?
Well, we do because we looked them up and all like that.
You looked them up and you knew.
Yeah.
And the people in St. David's knew who the Indians were.
Yeah.
What about the Millets, Mom?
The Millets, yeah.
The Millets were Indians?
The Millets lived right up next to us. Up in the west end of St. David's. So they, and we knew them.
And if everybody's related on St. David's Island, wouldn't they have Indian blood too?
I don't remember.
Island, wouldn't they have Indian blood too? Two? It's a blessing. I like your tell me about that. Where did you get that?
Well, my good friend Anawan Reed, he gave me this here as a gift towards my my higher learnings towards the Eastern war dance.
Now, here is the face of a Pequot. And now they over here, goddamn, giving him all their little trinkets and shit, you know, doing what they do. We're going to get to the terminology toward the end of the video. Stay tuned.
I'm doing well in it. So he'll donate something to my regalia.
Very nice. Wow. I mean,
It's a blessing. I like your tell me about that. Where did you get that?
Well, my good friend Anawan Reed, he gave me this here as a gift towards my my higher learnings towards the Eastern war dance. I'm doing well in it. So he'll donate something to my regalia.
Very nice.
wow. I mean, just to be in this regalia is an honor. Mother Vietnamese. And it's just an honor because, like I said,
Eastern war dance.
This is a Pequot, face of Atlantis in Bermuda. Press 1 if this is a Negro.
Doing well in it. So he'll donate something to my regalia.
Very nice.
wow. I mean, just to be in this regalia is an honor.
This is a Pequot, face of the lost tribes of Atlantis, also in Bermuda. Press 1 if this is a so-called Negro.
Mother Vietnamese. And it's just an honor because, like I said before, we are survivors. So it's like for me to be my like I said before, we are survivors. So to be my cultural dress. Like I said before, we are survivors. So it's like for me to be my cultural dress, it means a lot to me because it means that, hey, I'm alive, we survived, you know, we're still here.
Like my heritage, and yet I brought him back over 3,000 miles. I said, I want that. All the other seminars I picked out, the Sitting Bull, they said that's Sitting Bull.
Sitting Bull.
And that's something.
Well, see, I show you all the videos for a reason. So if you see some shit and it look like it might be a little foo, trust me, it's a jewel in it, though. That's like I tell niggas, bro. It's wisdom everywhere. So we got something from everything that's going to lead us to it's just keeping us on the path. You know what I'm talking about? Stay on the path, man. We're on the path to the Republic.
You know, the hard part about with the Bermudian natives is, you know, trying to link them to what tribe. We know we all look alike, but to try to track down like who belongs to. The hard part about with the belongs to Narragansett, trying to link them to what tribe. We know we all look alike, but to try to track down like who belongs to Narragansett, Wampanoag, Pequot, you know, what fractions. I think that's what's going to be challenging. You know,
sometimes when I'm here, I would just double take. I think I've seen a cousin.
Pequot.
Do you recognize this face? Do you recognize the faces of Atlantis? Join us live as we lift the veils live from the Republic of Atlantis. Subscribe to the tribe, hawkschool.live, love, light, and flight. If you just now tuned in.
You know, what fractions, I think that's what's going to be challenging. You know,
when I'm here, I would double take. I think I've seen a cousin. I'm ready to call out to him. Say, no, that's not.
A lot of similar
Very similar in features, but not even just features. I mean, features is one thing, but even the way how we interact and how we.
Then my aunt, who's married to my uncle, connections as well. Like I know a few people that said the Cherokee, Micmac. Then my aunt, who's married to my uncle, she's a Shinnecock, you know, and she met my uncle. Yeah, there's a lot of other tribes, but what our community.
Now, this is a descendant of the Pequots who, from this massacre we just previously saw. You know what I'm saying? And there was another video. We know that's a nigga right there. Press 1. Hold on.
The ice of Assawampset Pond.
You love your stuff because you're
Man, I had another video, man, that was going into the war and was talking about the people a little more.
Today we're looking at King Philip.
Yeah, I think this might be it right here. Yeah, it's a little more because I get a lot of information. Well, I'll be wanting to streamline shit for you. Check this out.
In Massachusetts, Metacom was the second son of Chief Massasoit, who was the leader of the Wampanoag that negotiated peace with the Pilgrims and participated in the first Thanksgiving at Plymouth. Since Massasoit negotiated that peace agreement back in 1620, there had been peace between English settlers and Native Americans in Massachusetts. However, as more and more Puritans arrived and more Englishmen were wanting land, the relationship between the two had gotten worse and worse. In 1671, colonists met with Metacom and demanded that he sign another peace agreement. And not only that, but that the Wampanoag also lay down their arms or give over their guns to the English. Surprisingly, Metacom agreed to this. In 1675, John Sassman, a Native American who had converted to Christianity and had been passing information to the English colonists, was murdered. And 3 Wampanoag warriors were put on trial by the English and then put to death for the murder in Plymouth. Metacom could not tolerate any more.
Why you trying to jump to a bitch's motherfucking defense? I hate to come at you like you own me, but goddamn it, you do, motherfucker. Whatever, then I'm wrong. You got me now. You got me now. Oh, you figured me out. You fucking income fucking poop.
1675, Metacom ordered an attack on the English settlement of Swansea in southern Massachusetts. Native American warriors attacked and burned the town of Swansea, and in retaliation, the colonists attacked and destroyed the Wampanoag village at Mount Hope in present-day Rhode Island. Unlike previous disagreements or fights between the New England colonists and the Native Americans, this as Native Americans attacked. In the summer of 1675, the war went back and forth as Native Americans attacked Massachusetts towns such as Mendon, Brookfield, and Lancaster, and then colonists in turn would attack Native American villages. The war itself was extremely violent and actually the bloodiest war in American history in terms of the percentage of the population that was killed in the war. The war itself was extremely violent and actually the bloodiest war in American history in terms of the percentage of the population that was killed in the war. The population of the New England colonies in 1675 was around 80,000, including Native Americans in the region. In the war, over 9,000 were killed, which was over 10%, many of them dying from starvation. They could from 25 of the towns and banned, but soon colonists sold thousands of captured Native Americans. 22 towns during the war, pillaging or stealing as much as they could from 25 of the towns and burning 17 towns to the ground. In turn, the New England colonists sold thousands of captured Native Americans into slavery in the Caribbean. Thousands of captured Native Americans into slavery in the Caribbean.
thousands of captured Native Americans into slavery in the Caribbean. The primary goal of the Native Americans was to stop or limit the spread of English colonists. For the English colonists, at first it was about protecting their land, but soon it turned into a war.
Our committee tries to do is bring them all together.
And grandmother opens them all. Basically, that's the end of this discussion. It's very similar to here.
Hey, I'm alive. We survived. We're still here.
And I don't want to meet well in it.
To be in this reality.
Well in it.
Survivor, so it's like, for me, it's an honor because, like I said, to be in this reality is an honor. Mother bear me, and it's just an honor because, like I said before, we are survivors, so it's like, for me to be my cultural dress, it means a lot to me because it means that, hey, I'm alive, we survived, we're still here. Survivors, so it's like, survivors. Mother bear me. Wow. I mean, just to be in this reality is an honor. Mother bear me. And it's just an honor because, like I said before, we are survivors, so it's like, for me to be my cultural dress, it means a lot to me because it means that, hey, I'm alive, we survived, we're still here.
But my heritage, and yet I brought him back over 3,000 miles. I said, I want that. All the other seminaries I picked out, the Sitting Bull, I said, that's Sitting Bull.
Sitting Bull.
And that's something.
We see people down there that slave ships heading there,
It means that we're getting.
Now, see, what's happening is these people done pulled up with this powwow shit and they got down indoctrinating them, as I said earlier in the stream. And that's why, oh, girl, like it's an honor, because they telling them, like, this is y'all shit. This is how Indians dress. This is how Native Americans, quote unquote, dress. And these the same motherfuckers who got down sided with the niggas that killed their ancestors. Press 1.
I couldn't. I was trying to fight it and held it in, but it mean to you. The connection brings about a sense of pride and belonging. It helps pride and it even helps. Yes, I
It's for me to travel home.
The social.
Every piece of your people.
At that.
It's for me to travel. You felt the connection, and these are your people, and so it's a must for me to travel home every year. It's like
I got my man TP'd out. Press 1.
Going home. It's just like you've been working and you've been on vacation or whatever, and then you're going home for vacation.
It was a very emotional experience for you.
My first time, yes, I cried. I couldn't. I was trying to fight it and held it in.
Now, for those who don't know, girl on the left is a real motherfucking Pequot. Just regular nigga, press 1. And they coming with this TP shit, press 1.
The connection brings about a sense of pride and belonging. It helps you to understand things that you live naturally. It just puts definition to things that come naturally. Mean to you. The connection brings about a sense of pride and belonging. It helps you to understand things that you live naturally. It just puts definition to things that come naturally. Means that we're getting what we lost, our culture back. What was taken from, we're getting what we lost, our culture back. Culture back. Means that we're getting what we lost, our culture back. Means that we're getting what we lost, our culture back. What was taken from us. So it's when I do the Eastern blanket dance, it's like it means a lot to me because it's like
it was a very emotional experience.
You live naturally. It just puts definition to things that come naturally. It just puts definition to things that come naturally. When I do the Eastern blanket dance, it's like it means a lot to me. Culture back. means that we're getting what we lost, our culture back, what was taken from us. So it's when I do the Eastern blanket dance, it's like it means a lot to me because it's like from slavery and stuff, we didn't, have that because it was taken from us, it was stolen from us. So when someone came and taught us the dances, it was just means that we're getting what we lost, our culture back, what was taken from us. So it's when I do the Eastern blanket dance, it's like it means a lot to me because we didn't, have taken from us from slavery and stuff. We didn't. It was taken from us. It was stolen from us. So when someone came and taught us the dances, it was just beautiful to learn. Came and taught us the dances. Came and taught us the dances. It was taken from us. It was stolen from us. So when someone came and taught us the dances, it was just beautiful to learn. So we have it back.
We make it look easy. Walk with your boys.
Damn, son, where'd you find this?
I was excited to be able to be with someone from over there who's like a cousin from 300 years ago, and to be around them and
because it's like from slavery and stuff, we didn't, have that because it was taken from us, it was stolen from us. So when someone came and taught us the dances, it was just beautiful to learn. So we have it back.
I was excited to be able to be with someone from over there who's like a cousin from 300 years ago, and to be around them and to actually have the same type of spirit. That's the thing that amazed me more than anything, because you can be around people and not feel any kind of connection or feel that they're like you in any way. Because I've been away to school, so I've been around different people, and they're nice, but I'm not that totally comfortable. Your way is a little different, So, but when you all came.
So now she know these niggas, but they don't know the history. They going over there and these motherfuckers is teaching them the history. These motherfucking apron gang, 33 in the chat, indoctrinating these poor people who have remained goddamn free from all of this indoctrination up till 1994. You know what I'm saying? And she gonna talk here. I'll let you tell her how they finessing her, and then we'll move forward.
Here, it was that instant feeling like, yeah, I know these people.
One big thing that we've noticed when we first made the connection, we saw some similarity between.
It was that instant feeling like, yeah, I know these people. It was that instant feeling like, yeah, I know these people. Feeling like, yeah, I know these people.
Yeah, they killed your grandparents.
One big thing that we've noticed when we first made the connection, we saw some similarity between you and us. It was like looking into a mirror. We was looking at our cousins, and it was such a beautiful, warm feeling. It was almost as if like the creator just said, you know what, you are related. You're related to people over here. And you can see it. As soon as you look at it, you can see it. You can feel it, and that was a beautiful.
Well, you know what I just kept thinking? I mean, this was where my ancestors used to feel comfortable. This is where they lived. This is, the place that they grew up. And for me, I feel more of a connection to the people than the place, probably because I'm that kind of scene is like so different for me, the woodlands and all that. But I do feel more closer to the people when I'm there, because I feel like these are people like their family. They feel like family, they act like family. And strangely enough, like the first time I saw Morning Star, I looked at her and I saw her dancing and so on, and I kept saying to everybody that was sitting there, oh my goodness, look at that, she's just like my niece. And then when she
See, they going over here on this good Indian, this praying Indian shit, giving these niggas all this shit to wear, necklaces and shit, vests, and putting shit all in motherfucker hair. indoctrinating them. Press 1.
You know, I'm surgical with this bitch, Jake. How you want a dog?
Amazing.
But change your motherfucking mindset. You wanna know why you ain't got shit? Cause you ain't thinking about shit. I come out the door every day with this shit on my mind. I'm gonna give me a bag. Fuck wrong with you? I'm gonna give me some cash. Change your motherfucking mindset, man. You think pennies, you get pennies. Bitch, I'm thinking dollars.
It felt like they had made a mistake. Just to read you, because I was reading this article from Bermuda's Pequots, the guy Van Eyck Mason, and he wrote that Bermudians possessing them over here, they did not
Read off a piece of paper.
They were basically the troublemakers. They were basically the troublemakers. The Indians that they actually sent over here, came over here, they were basically the troublemakers. The Indians that they actually sent over here, came over here, they were basically the troublemakers.
Stories more than something what we read off a piece of paper.
Because what they're saying is that the Indians that they actually sent over here, came over here, they were basically the troublemakers. So they found that after they brought them over here, they did not, they felt like they had made a mistake. Just to read you, because I was reading this article from Bermuda's Pequots, the guy Van Eyck Mason, and he wrote that Bermudians possessing both Pequot and Mohican slaves cursed the day that they invested in such devilish goods. They actually, in some instances, tried to send the Indians back because they were rebellious. They didn't want to farm. They said the only time that they were settled and seemed to be more contented is when they would have them doing fishing or whaling. You know, so in my family, I have an Uncle David who was a pilot, and there's many in my family who are into fishing, and so that seems to be where.
Now, her Uncle David was a pilot. That's a ship captain. Press 1.
They were rebellious. They didn't want to farm. They said the only time that they were settled. Just to read you, because I was reading this article from Bermuda's Pequots, the guy Van Eyck Mason, and he wrote that Bermudians possessing both Pequot and Mohican slaves cursed the day that they invested in such devilish goods. They actually, in some instances, tried to send the Indians back because they were rebellious. They didn't want to farm. They said the only time that they were settled and seemed to be more contented is when they would have them doing fishing or whaling.
Oh, definitely. Definitely, tribe. Here. Let's stop right there. Let's go back to our source.
Prime is more expensive than ever.
Bitch, you see we doing something over here, don't you? Hey, man, take a moment to share the live stream. We're going to pull up in this bitch, see what she's talking about.
What a punk. What a fool. Mark.
Call it Cutahunka, right? It's been anglicized, but that doesn't mean it's its rightful name.
And I think as museum people and as historians, we need to be very conscious of that. Sorry for going off on that tangent, but I saw a Coxet parentheses Westport, and it reminded me of that story. Keep in mind that during his lifetime with his shipping business and with his stores, Paul Cuffy was the wealthiest man of color in the United States during his lifetime. Paul Cuffy was the wealthiest man of color in the United States. Paul Cuffy was the wealthiest. Paul Cuffy was the wealthiest. Paul Cuffy was the wealthiest man of color in the United States during his lifetime. And again, it wasn't about accumulation for himself. It was really about investing in the community, investing in, you know, what we would now call causes, business. And with his stores, Paul Cuffy was the wealthiest man of color in the United States during his lifetime. And again, it wasn't about accumulation for himself. It was really about investing in the community, investing in, you know, what we would now call.
Now, she doing all this goddamn caping, but hey man, I think this nigga helped these other motherfuckers get these people ancestors on the island. Press 1.
Causes. And here's another Newport connection, right? Earlier I mentioned that, and I don't think I used names, but Newport Gardner and Salmar Nubia, 2 Africans that were brought to Newport as enslaved men, later got their freedom. And really, you know, at that time period in the 1820s, you start to see in the history of Newport this clear line between individuals who see themselves as African and individuals who see themselves as American, right? So you can look at either perspective, right? That's my ancestry, that's my history, that's the land of my forefathers, or this is where I was born, this is where I own property, this is all I know, I'm American. And so
niggas was still on that old bullshit. But what these niggas don't know is the only motherfuckers was talking some old back to Africa shit was the motherfucking slave catchers. Press 1. Stupid ass, retarded ass nigga. The fuck? Press 1.
Bettina Sugar?
Yes.
Django isn't a slave. Django is a free man, you understand? You can't treat him like any of the other niggas around here because he ain't like any of the other niggas around here. You got it?
Thug life. Think it's a game, nigga? Wu-Tang.
The fact that he was a Quaker, and it was by and large an integrated workspace. And he got a lot of his sort of his rhetoric workspaces from Quaker without this, and it was by sort of his rhetoric about abolition, and without this free men of place, right? Whale ships were notoriously integrated. Free men of color, seafaring was just. Or you see, you know, someone from a particular ethnic group in Nigeria, and you get to see a person from that ethnic group in Brazil or in the Caribbean. Think about employment opportunities for. And of course, we can't talk about Paul Cuffy without discussing the fact that he was a Quaker. He was a prominent Quaker. And he got a lot of his sort of his rhetoric about abolition from Quakers, who were by and large abolitionists, right?
So that's why I had to show you the video previously in the live stream, because these are the praying Indians. Press 1.
But some of them weren't. Some of them preferred to give up the faith rather than give up their slaves. And the reason that Quakers were rather than give up their slaves. And of course, we can't talk about Paul Cuffy without discussing the fact that he was a Quaker. He was a prominent Quaker. And he got a lot of his sort of his rhetoric about abolition from Quakers, who were by and large abolitionists, right? But some of them weren't. Some of them preferred to give up the faith rather than give up their slaves. And
now, bear in mind, Paul Cuffy he is a precursor to Marcus Garvey. And so back to Africa movement. Okay. So they got it from Paul Cuffy. And Paul Cuffy got it from the goddamn oatmeal man. Press 1. Yeah, man. This shit is bananas, man. So you niggas on this back to Africa shit, and really you are a Quaker missionary, nigga.
Why don't you click your heels together 3 times and go back to Africa?
the reason that Quakers were against slavery and saw it as a moral evil is because they believed that every human being has the inner light of adopted into the society of the British. Quakers were tribute to his, but we have to talk about it considering the period of time. So again, many powerful friends. He had Quaker relationships in the U.S. and England. He had people that were willing to contribute to his abolition efforts in Sierra Leone. He was.
So now, nigga, you can go on the goddamn. You can take your ass to Africa, or they just threw these niggas on the goddamn in Bermuda Triangle. Press 1.
An ally in the creation of the colony of Sierra Leone. And again, I mentioned it earlier, but this was supposed to be people's. So again, many powerful friends. He had Quaker relationships in the U.S. and England. He had people that were willing to contribute to his.
As a matter of fact, let's take a little time. Yeah, man. Hey, man. I saved the Pineapple Express for Bermuda. So here is the primary documents. I ain't finna be reading all this cursive ass shit. That shit blow my high, man. And don't sneak and geek, man. If you're watching, share the live stream. Hit that like. You know what I'm saying? If you're brand new, subscribe. Support the tribe.
His abolition efforts in Sierra Leone. He was an ally in the creation of the colony of Sierra Leone. And again, I mentioned it earlier, but this was supposed to be a colony for the peoples freed by the British. And Paul Cuffy was really hoping that industry and trade in Sierra Leone, in Western Africa, would put the region on par with Europe and the US and effectively end slavery.
But everybody didn't want to go. Everybody didn't want to go. Press 1. So they sent their ass to the Bermuda Triangle.
Or into fishing, and so that seems to be where, so in my family, I have an Uncle David who was a pilot, and there's, just to read you, because I was reading this article from Bermuda's Pequots. the guy Van Eyck Mason, and he wrote that Bermudians possessing both Pequot and Mohican slaves cursed the day that they invested in such devilish goods. They actually, in some instances, tried to send the Indians back because they were rebellious. They didn't want to farm. They said the only time that they were settled and seemed to be more contented is when they would have them doing fishing or whaling. So in my family, I have an Uncle David who was a pilot, and there's many in my family who are into fishing, and so that seems to be where the Davis Islanders felt comfortable, and even those from Bader's Bay was in fishing.
Skip always was reaching out. He always had a fire about his people, and he always told stories.
Unfortunately, my grandparents and parents talked about Indians and Native American ancestry. Parents talked about Indians and Native American ancestry.
So that seems to be where the Davis Islanders felt comfortable, and even though
never got to see this here, my mother did.
This people, and he always
an ancestry.
This people, and he always told.
I really love this here.
This people,
an ancestry. Never got to see about Indians and about Indians. Unfortunately, my grandparents and parents talked about Indians and Native American ancestry, and my grandparents never got to see this here. My mother did. I brought my mother one year. Never got to see this here. My grandparents never got to see this here. My mother.
And his grandparents never got to see it because they wasn't on that bullshit. Press 1. So now they over here poisoning these people. They finessing them same way they had us early in the game. Press 1. This ain't your culture, my nigga. Somebody get to Bermuda so we can get to our motherfucking people. Because them Negroes.
I did. I brought my grandmother did. An ancestry about Indians and Native American ancestry, and my grandparents never got to see this here. My mother did. I brought my mother one year. My grandmother would have really loved this here, and so I'm really traveling for them, for the ancestors that never made it. I'm really traveling for them. I'm really traveling for them. Mother did. I brought my mother one year.
We got a traveling man.
Grandmother would have really loved this here, and so I'm really traveling for them, for the ancestors that never made it.
Why do you say your grandmother?
Well, my grandmother.
Your ancestors.
Well, my grandmother spoke a lot about Native American blood in the family. She was like the forefront of it happening. And she mentioned one time, one of these days, the Indians are going to come back looking for us. It's really a lost tribe. A lot about Native American blood in the family. She was like the forefront of it happening. And she mentioned one time, one of these days, the Indians are going to come back looking for us. It's really a lost tribe. So I was like, that's a joke, and it actually happened that way. The ancestors that never made it,
Why do you say your grandmother?
Well, my grandmother.
Your ancestors.
Well, my grandmother spoke a lot about Native American blood in the family. She was like the forefront of it happening. And she mentioned one time, one of these days, the Indians are going to come back looking for us. It's really a lost tribe. So I was like, that's a joke, and it actually happened that way.
Talk to the house of Israel for a minute, huh? If you're really serious and you're looking for a Christ man, the one who anointed with the Lord, with the Spirit of the Lord to do his will, I'm that nigga. You not stop faking. You really.
Grandparents never got to see this year. My mother did. I brought my mother one year. My grandmother would have really loved this year. And so I'm really traveling for them, for the ancestors that never made it, you know.
Why do you say your grandmother?
Well, my
Why do you
grandmother,
say your ancestors?
my grandmother spoke a lot about Native American blood in the family. She was like the forefront of it happening. Like, and she mentioned one time, one of these days, the Indians are going to come back looking for us. It's really a lost tribe. So I was like, that's a joke, and it actually happened that way.
Trying to describe her feelings, you know.
Do you recognize the faces of Atlantis?
Her feeling of coming home. It was so strange, and you know, and I said to her,
And see, they feel a connection to them because they us. But now they being indoctrinated with this improved order of red man ass bullshit. Infiltrating their whole infrastructure. Press 1. Share the live stream. Support the channel, man.
you know, her feeling of coming home. It was so strange, and you know, and I said to her, you know, what do you mean? Because I said I never had that type of feeling, you know, but she was so intense about this, about the connection, you know, and then when she got intense like that, you got fired up too with her, you know. But she said when she drank from, and she said no. More about what was talk to us about the Indian connection. So, I forget his name now. Deerfoot and Lionheart. They came here. This was in 1994, and they talked to us about. They came here. I forget his name now. Deerfoot and Lionheart. They came here. This was in 1994, and they talked to us about. They came here to do some research and talk to us about the Indian connection. So even before we started the committee, which was 2002, I was one of the first members. But, you know, it went way back then when people started to want to find out more about what was about. They came here to do some research and talk to us about the Indian connection. So even before we started the committee, which was 2002, I was one of the first members. But, you know, it went way back then when people started to want to find out more about what was our connection of the seas. And then I have a picture. I want to go into my car real quickly and get it. I have an aunt, and she had done some research too. That was actually the first time I heard the word Pequot, because she told us that we were Pequot. And this was years and years ago. And she showed us an arrowhead years and years ago. And she had done some research too. That was actually the first time I heard the word Pequot, because she told us that we were Pequot. And this was years and years ago. And she showed us an arrowhead. So I had heard about it, but didn't really know too much. You've always heard about the St. Davids and the Mohawks, but apparently that was more of a derogatory term because most of them were Pequots and Wampanoag, Narragansett.
And then, of course, on the negative side, just witnessing how the rest of the island of Bermuda treated the people from St. David's was deplorable. You know, when the very first time we went there, as you asked.
Now here go one of these old butt naked ass infiltrators. Press 1. Hey man, what the fuck is you writing, big dog? The fuck is you talking about? Matter of fact, you ain't putting in no work.
We're recording. You're going to have a
You ain't putting in no work.
Don't come and threaten me. That's what I do. Well, then go someplace else and threaten somebody. Then you can talk. If you want to come in and meet with us.
It's real big chiefs out here putting in motherfucking work, man. Don't come in my chat trying to big dog. Goddamn, hit that motherfucking cash out and support the motherfucking channel, support the research, support the building, because we goddamn turning the motherfucking up. Fuck you talking about? I'm writing the future, nigga. I got 5,000 students in my class. How many motherfuckers came to your class this week?
Tom, next caller. You don't like it? Kiss my ass, you don't like it. It's my house. Motherfucker, you the one going, you believe in death, huh? Goddamn murderers, crucify my blessed brother. But when I find them, I'm gonna get them motherfuckers.
I'm sorry. That's what you choose. If you want to come in, your appointment's at 10 o'clock. I'm waiting for you. We're here. We've got the office ready for you. We're here. You said you want to hear the discovery. We have it ready. We're here. They are not welcome. That's my office.
I told you, I give you permission to speak to my representative.
I understand that, but I'm appointed to represent you and only you, and you are going to be my client on my
That's
terms.
who appointed him. So, yeah, who appointed you to my case? Because I
Judge
didn't.
Tejo. Judge Tejo appointed
Judge
you.
Tejo. Very good. Outside of Ferretta versus California, that's a violation of your rights, Martha Region.
Are you coming in or not?
Yes, we're coming in.
If you're coming in, I am your representative in this case. That's the way it's going to be, and that's the way it is. If this gentleman wants to represent you, he needs to go get a court order, and I'll be glad to let him in. But short of that, this is attorney-client privilege.
Yes. Did I say I'm tribal?
You may be tribal, but you're charged with U.S. Virgin Islands law violations, and that's what I'm dealing with.
You're not being effective with.
Okay. If you want to come in, you can come in. Otherwise, I won't have to see you. It's entirely up to you. I think you ought to come in and talk to me, since I am your advisor in this case. Your request to join him. You want to go talk with them afterwards? That's your prerogative.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you are the
Now,
client.
I'm gonna show you why I'm not impressed with none of the goddamn rhetoric, because I ran into a nigga that was dropping some motherfucking jewels, and he ain't getting no motherfucking views, and ain't nobody sharing this video or putting us up on game on nothing like this, and you about to see what it's about, and we gonna make it all goddamn crispy clear to where even Stevie Wonder can see that shit. You smell me? Because we ain't come to play no motherfucking games.
It's the Spirit of God. See, the Spirit of God is omnipotent, and it works on you. It'll work on your ass, and I can be far, far away, because it's considered conscience, you know. Ain't nothing fell in my conscience. Stupid bitch. It's not of competition, it's of cooperation. Stupid ass house nigga.
I decided to retaliate for my doing that and bring. I guess that's created by issues in this particular presentation. I'll try to express it
anytime a motherfucker is trying to publicly goddamn got you on some old. Man, come on now, man. Come on, man. But let's see what bro talking about, because I ain't hip to him. I just ran into him. Tushkahuma. But he got tangibles. Check him out.
in a very fair manner, in a very productive manner. I'm going to talk about NAAIP and the formation of NAAIP and the formation of numerous other institutions created by Tishkahumak Shilip. NAAIP was founded by me in 2012. This being the 10th year anniversary of its creation. NAAIP was created because there was a need to have further and greater understanding about what indigenous was and who indigenous people were and how they existed and how they should exist. I did this because I was entrenched in actions over in Memphis, Tennessee. I guess that's a location where everything started, Memphis, Tennessee. Label owner and my ex-wife, we did a deal with that did not want to accept me as being who I said that I was, as an indigenous inhabitant. And indigenous identity, I found that there were no platforms dealing with and learning from Rhode Island. I started to learn from others, and I began to more or less excel to a great deal. Indigenous identity, I found that there were no platforms that existed that could help me to further explain my indigenous, now self-proclaimed identity to these courts and to these agencies that did not want to accept me as being who I said that I was, as an indigenous inhabitant. And we were so engaged over in Memphis, and when I say engaged, after learning things from the Moors and specifically learning that they could not protect me and that they had no protections in place for me, I was at one point traveling the city of Memphis with my own vehicle tags that I created. And a few of the researchers with me, they also proceeded to have those tags on their vehicles, and the police began to stop us. And we began to engage the police and encourage the police to stop us. And they did. And they arrested some of us. And in the process, we began to collect information to show the weaknesses that existed within their policies, which were
Now, hold on. So you're gonna get a whole bunch of game from dude right here. And the reason he's coming into the build is because these same people who took those so-called Negroes, those Pequots, to Bermuda, he's now having a problem with the descendants of those same praying Indians, as they call them, for lack of better terms. Man, I ain't read no book by Hana Show. Is anybody in the chat ever read a book by Hana Show? Press 1 if this nigga don't have a book. So stop harassing me, dog. You know what I'm talking about? Tribe.
Violation of the Constitution, and we began to look at it from a different perspective. And one of our prime researchers, Sakima El Bey is his name, very brilliant guy. Sakima taught us about the Article 3 position, Article 3 jurisdiction of protections for the people of the original government. And because we are the descendants of American Aborigine, or Aborigine existing in the Americas, to show the weaknesses that existed within their policies, which were in violation of the Constitution. And we began to look at it from a different perspective. And one of our prime researchers, Sakima El Bey is his name, very brilliant guy. Sakima taught us about the Article 3 position, Article 3 jurisdiction of protections for the people of the original government. And because we are the descendants of American Aborigine, or Aborigine existing in the Americas, jurisdiction of protections for the people of the original government. And because we are the descendants of American Aborigine, or Aborigine existing in the Americas, we hold a certain position with the Article 3 protections, and we began to exercise that after learning those things. Hold a certain position with the Article 3 protections, and we began to exercise that after learning those things. And we filed a number of lawsuits against the city of Memphis, where we found that they violated the Dr. King order. The order was issued by a federal court that the Memphis Police Department could not surveil, could not interfere with the activities or the movements of any particular group, no particular groups that opposed the policies of the city of Memphis, and they were in direct violation of that. We found that particular order, and we confronted them with it. We went to a few congressmen, Steve Cohen specifically, and he assisted us in along with his aide at the time, Randy Wade is his name. They assisted.
Cause this is kind of deep. Hold on. Cause like I say, I just be going down the rabbit hole. Hey, but you know what? And I'm kind of digressing, but so they all the Cuffy nigga, Cuffy Slocum, and Paul Oakham. That's what these niggas both went to the Morris Charity School, which is Dartmouth, right? But Samson Oakham, that's the nigga name. Elijah Wheelock became involved in education, went to Samson Oakham. That's the other Native American, right? But it was just weird to me that one named Oakham and the other one Slocum. You know what I'm saying? Like, shit, it's super real, motherfucking fishy. You know what I'm saying? Help some of the Pequot people he worked with assimilate and adapt European house style, dress, and culture. All right? Them the traders. So we know what the Pequots look like because they put niggas on the island, press one. But I digress. I really want to show you this paper right here. He gonna mention it. You gonna have to sign in and do all that old shit on your own. But the nigga got big paperwork on here. I don't know what the fuck, you know what I'm saying? I can't say I'm for against nothing. But he is gonna tell us about some of his experiences that is official like a referee whistle, my nigga. So this is the International Affidavit and Notice of Constructive Fraud, Identity Theft, Unlawful Conversion, Economic Deception, and Ethnic Cleansing against American Aborigine People Demand for Identity Correction. Huh, bruh? When you look good, you feel good. When you feel good, you do good. Shout out to Tasco, the CEO of 2 a.m. Tribe. So boom, I'm finna give y'all this because he gonna mention it, and he's like, nigga, you need to go get these documents. But I don't know nothing about them, nigga. Whatever the fuck, go read that shit. This is not financial advice, nigga. You know what I'm saying? Like, straight up, my nigga. I'm just doing the goddamn footwork. But my nigga dropping jewels. Press 1.
Assist us in filing a complaint at Department of Justice in Washington, D.C. And we filed this complaint in Washington, D.C. And from that came an investigation against the Memphis Police Department. Memphis was fined so much money that they lost over 300 plus police officers because they could not afford the energies of in Washington, D.C. And any particular group, no particular groups that opposed the policies of the city of Memphis, and they were in direct violation of that. We found that particular order, and we confronted them with it. We went to a few congressmen, Steve Cohen specifically, and he assisted us in along with his aide at the time, Randy Wade is his name. They assisted us in filing a complaint at Department of Justice in Washington, D.C. And we filed this complaint in Washington, D.C. And from that came an investigation against the Memphis Police Department. Memphis was fined so much money that they lost over 300 plus police officers because they could not afford the energies of the finances against them. And to this date, they've not been able to reboot those police officers and add those jobs because of financing and this new thing called 19. I'm having this discussion because so many people believe that they know Tushkahumak. And I'm very much aware that not many people know Tushkahumak. There have been lots of claims of knowing Tushkahumak and lots of rhetoric and lots of lies and defamation of character, specifically put down by the FANA group, the Federation of Aboriginal Nations, which is an institution that I created for them and placed at the top Raymond Watson, who has done an awful job in furthering the unification, and I have to be honest about these things, furthering the unification of the indigenous people of the Americas, which was the initial plan and layout, which is why I created FANA. Creating FANA was not so complex because FANA was created the same way that NAAIP was created. In fighting with Memphis, it taught me that I needed to have an institution to protect me, because there were no institutions protecting people that thought the way that I thought, protecting people.
No, that's why I say we bringing these wars and everybody that played a part. We bringing all the players. The spirit is in the blood. We bringing them all to the front. Now, yeah, he looked like he's stressed out, but watch, my nigga been working, bro. I don't know this nigga, bro. The nigga, this video got like 300 some views, man. Matter of fact, I'm gonna share this nigga video. Just how 100, bro. This nigga gotta get some views. Wait till you see, bro. Hold on. You gonna see. This nigga dropping some serious motherfucking sauce, bro. Pause.
People that had history that resemble my history.
Oh, you say you ain't feeling his EP? I don't know. We're gonna see. But the nigga been everywhere doing some heavyweight shit. So that's why I just gave you the shit that I found, and we just gonna check it out. It's live research. You know what I'm talking about? You know how we Hawkin. Press 1.
My great grandmother is listed as colored. Her daughter is listed as colored, which is my mother, and my sister's listed as colored, and I'm listed as Negro. And that.
Yes, tribe. And that's what I'm saying, bro. I think I finally found a nigga who ain't the scam, bro. And the niggas we know is a scam, he got beef with the niggas. The video only got 300 some views. The nigga name is Tushkahomak. You know what I'm saying? Bro, dropping jewels. This nigga coming with some real goddamn Lost Tribes of Atlantis shit. You know what I'm saying? Check him out, though. I don't even want to interrupt him. You got to survive.
LIP was created. In fighting with Memphis, it taught me that I needed to have an institution to protect me. Because there were no institutions protecting people that thought the way that I thought, protecting people that had history that resembled my history. My great grandmother is listed as colored. Her daughter is listed as colored.
Yeah, man. I feel you, bro. That's what I'm saying. I don't want to interrupt the OG. Salute to him, man. Salute to you, Tushkahomak. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to play my part and share your video. I don't know nothing about nothing, my nigga. I'm just like, bro, I just know real shit, bro. And then we already know who the enemies is. And we know these the enemies from 1600. Goddamn, put niggas on Bermuda. Press 1. Talking about what the Pequots look like. Nigga, there they go right there. The fuck? Bro, this nigga got the code on the show. That's what I'm saying. If you pay attention, man, and quit goddamn spinning the motherfucking room, my nigga, just pay attention. Don't think that you goddamn, you too wise or too old to learn something, my nigga. And you see this nigga your age, nigga. So goddamn pump your brakes and goddamn let your motherfucking nigga your age drop some jewels. Press 1.
And further unification, and I have to be honest about these things, furthering the unification of the indigenous people of the Americas, which was the initial plan and layout, which is why I created fauna. Creating fauna was not so complex because fauna was created the same way that NAAIP was created. In fighting with Memphis, it taught me that I needed to have an institution to protect me. Because there were no institutions protecting people that thought the way that I thought, protecting people that had history that resembled my history. My great grandmother is listed as colored. Her daughter is listed as colored, which is my mother, and my sister's listed as colored, and I'm listed as Negro. And that didn't sit quite right. It sounded like it was some form of identity fraud, identity theft. So I began looking at avenues to address the issues of identity theft for my family over in Memphis and myself in fighting these court issues. And in 2012, I founded and created the National Association for the Advancement of Indigenous People. And I didn't know that a movement was going to begin. I believed that I would establish something that would become a gateway for information and some form of protection for indigenous people, not just those misclassified indigenous people who are called Negroes and African Americans, but those indigenous people who are called Native Americans, because Native Americans, they are the relatives and descendants of two cultures, the culture of Europe and the culture of the Americas. And they are called Native American because that's what their brethren called them. There's no such true construct as Native American. Native American. Relatives and descendants of two cultures, the culture of Europe and the culture of the Americas. And they are called Native American because that's what their brethren called them. There's no such true construct as Native American. And it's stipulated in the laws that we've been fortunate to find that Native Americans do not have the same rights as those who are recognized as Aborigine descendants. And our lines go back beyond the 1500s and beyond the 1100s. We've been fortunate to find that Native Americans do not have the same rights as those who are recognized as Aborigine descendants. And our lines go back beyond the 1500s and beyond the 1100 AD. We are the same people that have existed on these territories for centuries upon centuries upon centuries. You know, this movement of NAAIP, it came from the blessing of two women. One was known as Grandmother Deepwater, and the other one was Shelley George. Grandmother Deepwater, she's of Muskogee descent. Grandmother Deepwater worked diligently with Shelley George of the Onondaga to gain recognition for those misidentified and misclassified descendants of Aborigine. And before Grandmother Deepwater left us, she and Shelley George took me to the United Nations and introduced me as the and for the indigenous movement. She and Shelley George took me to the United Nations and introduced me as the new representative for the indigenous movement in America. I didn't know the benefit and I didn't know the task that they were placing upon my head, but I moved forward with that task. And as a part of that invite, they were recognizing a claim that I filed in 2014. It's called the International Claim for Identity Theft and all those sorts of things that you can find on Scribd.
Now, so while niggas in the chat goddamn chatting, goddamn me, I just provided you with the paperwork that my nigga done goddamn. He got an appointment at the UN with the shit. So you know what I'm saying? I don't know what niggas typing about. But links in the chat.
We make it look easy. Walk with your boys.
Damn, son, where'd you find this?
at NAAIP. I didn't know the benefit and I didn't know the task that they were placing upon my head, but I moved forward with that task. And as a part of that invite, they were recognizing a claim that I filed in 2014. It's called the International Claim for Identity Theft and all those sorts of things that you can find on Scribd.
Let me just pause that, man. You know what I'm saying? Niggas think it's a game. If you just tuned in, man, you already know we night hawking and skywalking. The International Affidavit and Notice of Constructive Fraud, Identity Theft, Unlawful Conversion, Economic Deception, and Ethnic Cleansing against American and Aborigine people demand for identity correction. Press 1. Yeah, man. Bro, on some heavy shit over here. Pause. And you know, because it's late night, some people just waking up. We're gonna goddamn put the link in there so we could goddamn read along, see what this is all about. Cause look like bro, goddamn, he getting motherfucking appointments at the UN. So I don't know what the other nigga doing. And you know, we could rewind it, but I already provided the video so you could check it out. But you know, he was talking about how he tried other things and they didn't work. Matter of fact, let's go back.
Tennessee. Over in Memphis, Tennessee, I was confronted with a situation where the Memphis police raided an apartment that I was visiting. And they raided the location at gunpoint and they held me down and the children down and they arrested me. They arrested me because 2 weeks prior, I was involved in a protest for Tab Virgil of the infamous Hot Boys of Birdman and Lil Wayne. Tab was detained over in Memphis, Tennessee because they claimed that he had opened fire on police officers there in Memphis and they were charging him with some form of aggravated assault and attempted murder and that sort of thing. I was engaged in a protest on Turk's behalf, and the police officers on the street decided to retaliate for my doing that and bringing Billboard and other magazines to the attention of what was happening with Radine introduced me to the concept of our being Indian, our being standing what they call firm on the law and just ignore it and throw it away and wife. So I've started to get a grasp and understanding of how the law was working and how to defend and protect and that sort of thing from those initial engagements in New York at Watertown, where there were numerous sexual assaults taking place. And I was thrown right into the midst of it. At the time, I was also a music producer and independent label owner. And my ex-wife, we did a deal with 50 Cent's people. And then there was this rape interjection that came into our lives by the military, one of the military commanders. And, you know, I was encouraged to just ignore it and throw it away and let the career move forward and I refused to do that, and I fought them. So I began to fight some time ago, before I arrived in Memphis, maybe 3-4 years before I arrived in Memphis. But anyway, when I arrived in Memphis, I was really cocksure and felt that I had a great understanding of the law. So I proceeded to defend myself in this case where the police came and kicked in my door and charged me with drug trafficking. They found no drugs and they found nothing of any evidence. But the way that the system worked and works today is that you are definitely guilty unless you can prove that you have some innocence that's taking place. And that didn't sit right with me. So I began to pursue avenues of legal understanding so that I could get clarity as to what these officers and these judges were doing to me in the courts in Memphis, Tennessee. And I stayed at bay, violation of bond, for at least a year, as I learned how to defend myself and how to approach things from a different perspective. And as I began learning those things, I became aware of these people that call themselves Moors. And I understood that they were standing what they call firm on the law and being respected under the law. So I decided to look in that direction to see what was going on. And I learned a great deal of things. I learned how to defend myself without fear, because there was really nothing to fear. In the process, we're talking 2010, when I'm over in Memphis and learning these things. In 2011, I'm no longer interested in those things because I found an avenue through a lady named Rhode Harrison Pitts. Rhode introduced me to the concept of our being Indian, our being people that look like me, being Indian, not being black, and not being truly what they called us as Negro and colored and now African American. She brought that concept to me, and it struck me like a bullet, and I latched on to it, and I've not let it go. After learning the things I learned from dealing with and learning from Rhode, I started to learn from others, and I began to more or less excel to a great deal. Thought the way that I thought, protecting people that had history that they've not been able to reboot those police officers and add those jobs because of financing and this new thing called.
All right, man. For the sake of time, we're gonna fast forward a little bit to the good part.
Wampanoag, sitting there at the table, American Aborigine. So I was not allowed to speak. The microphones were turned off. It was quite made things move a little bit smoother without me having to work as hard as I have worked towards developing and building this apparatus of American Aborigine and the indigenous recognition for.
Hey, man. Low key, I done found the goddamn architect in this motherfucker. Straight up. Straight up. Wait till you see this shit, bro.
Those misclassified as African Americans and Negroes and blacks and coloreds. The journey is not over, because our brothers and sisters in Mexico are those same brothers and sisters who are those classifications, and they know that they are Ma'ipuri. I was spurred on to have this conversation because I received a phone call from the Ma'ipuri Arua Nation Attorney General, Commissioner Thronatista, Chief Fluker. And she said to me that there were people that were eager to do relationship with the nation, but they wanted to know what was the story of FANA, the Federation of Aboriginal Nations of America. The asking of that question has always been a very hot button topic because I've always wanted to share my story when I wanted to share my story. And because of the fact that she brought it to me out of concern, I've decided to say something about FANA and the Federation. In 2015, I was invited by members of Minister Farrakhan's delegation to come to the 10-10-15 presentation at Washington, D.C., which I did attend. And unfortunately, as I was about to speak at the microphone, they instructed from on high for the microphones to be turned off because the things that I was about to say and would say would be counter to so I was not allowed to speak. The microphones were turned off. It was quite humiliating, but it was a welcome to the structure of moves and energies that have thwarted us from gaining the type of recognition that we need to gain and that we could have gained as descendants of American Aborigine. A lot of that conflict still goes on. There's so much dissension and so much self-hatred and hatred of those that are represented by these various factions who know the truth but won't share the truth, who can lead their families out of the complex situations that they're involved in. Because as American Aborigine, there are rights that are built into the soil. One is particular called Aboriginal title to the land. It's not the same fee simple type of land holding that Native Americans have, because Native Americans, they operate through Congress, and everything that they do is controlled and regulated, owned by Congress. That's not the case of the descendants of American Aborigine. We have natural title to self, natural title to land, natural title to wherever we are on the continent of what's called North America and South America. We've been so tricked and bamboozled for so long. And there have been those aiding in the tricks and the bamboozlement. And those people operating at the Federation, they've done just that. They've bamboozled. They did this elaborate video where a very good friend of mine, Billy Guy, chief of the Pokanoket, sitting there at the table, not saying anything because he knew better, but listening to Two Hawks as he proceeded to rant and rave about the fraud and that sort of thing that was committed supposedly by NAARP and Tushkahuma. There's never been any fraud. He didn't even describe any fraud. It's like the sky is falling. He threw up a rock and it hit, and everybody went running, believing that the sky had fallen. And it was a distraction to derail a movement of unification for indigenous Aboriginal descendants here in America. That was a derailment. And so many thousands have fallen for that derailment. I think Dane Calloway, Dane has done good. I can't say that it's all superb. He has awakened the masses. He has awakened the streets, you might say. And he's educated a great deal of people. I came in contact with Dane in 2016 after attending the UN and making the presentation at the United Nations. And he began engaging people by encouraging them to come to his page where he was there selling applications that belonged to NAAIP. He would sell those packages to let people know that an institution called NAAIP existed, but he himself was not a member of NAAIP. And I had to contact him through our sources and chastise him and pull him in line. And he stayed in line. And he became the marketer and promoter of truth of the American Aborigine as is a great thing. I applaud Dane Calloway. Excuse me. In creating NAAIP, the result has culminated into international interest in the plight of so-called indigenous people here in America for the first time. Because of the actions of NAAIP, the Native Americans are experiencing a different level of relationship with the federal government, because I've been fortunate enough to reveal so much information and truth to the Native American communities and the developing indigenous communities of North and South America. The policies are beginning to change that are enhanced towards indigenous people. I've been able to watch the growth and implement the growth and direction and protections for indigenous people in America. It's important that when you wake up a baby, you're able to provide for that child. When you bring that baby forward, you have to be able to provide. And the African-American construct mindset is a baby when it comes to understanding indigenous and aboriginal to the land and identity of such. And the baby is waking up fast, and I'm doing all that I can to keep up with that, which is why I'm thankful that the construct of the Maipuri Aruan Nation was brought forward last year through treaty with the Maori Hapu of New Zealand. That particular treaty has given us immense position and respect within the international indigenous community. And we've been prodded on and supported by individuals from the Rockefeller Gormas Group and the assistance of one of their board members, Percy Tomeo Espinoza. And we're thankful for their interest in raising up the level of protections for indigenous people in the Americas. Those things transpired because of the actions of Tishkahumak. Tishkahumak entered into the relationship with the Rockefeller Gormas Group after initiating protest in the Virgin Islands, St. John's, Virgin Islands at Caneel Bay, after which there was immense interest in what was taking place with the newly awakened indigenous Arawak over in the U.S. Virgin Island territories. The United States have never recognized those people. They just simply came over there in 1921 and took the territory and took the people called Arawak. They are the natural inhabitants, and they're constantly taking land from these people and placing it into something that they're calling a national park. The United States has no jurisdiction, true jurisdiction in the Virgin Islands. It's a takeover. They've taken over the people. And this is a great deal of what I've been fighting for. So when I get to the level of people asking me about what happened with Fauna and what happened with Two Hawks, Raymond Watson, it's a very, very, it has been a very, very irritating point. It's like this little woodpecker just won't stop pecking. He doesn't say anything, but he's created a video. And that video defames my name, it defames NAAIP, and he provides no proof to the defamation of character that he has presented. And that video stays out there and it stays out there. And, you know, Two Hawks is a member of NAAIP. He started out with NAAIP and he contacted me and asked me if I would come to the Rhode Island area to help him and his people. I moved up there at the risk of losing my family. I did lose my family. I was divorced afterward. And, but I went there and I helped them. And I built foundations for them. I built the Federation. I assisted them in establishing their tribes and establishing their bank accounts. I assisted them in developing their relationship with the Department of Health and the Census Bureau, where they were able to receive health care. Even his wife, who was from Mexico, he was able to get that for Jenny. And it's, you know, Two Hawks is a member of NAAIP. He started out with NAAIP and he contacted me and asked me if I would come to the Rhode Island area to help him and his people. I moved up there at the risk of losing my family. I did lose my family. I was divorced afterward. And, but I went there and I helped them. And I built foundations for them. I built the Federation. I assisted them in establishing their tribes and establishing their bank accounts. I assisted them in developing their relationship with the Department of Health and the Census Bureau, where they were able to receive health care. Even his wife, who
these are the descendants of the niggas who sent them niggas to Bermuda. Press 1. That's why you having a problem with them. Press 1. I told you I was going to bring this shit all the way from goddamn 1600 to right now. Press 1.
Giving you more what you hoping for.
You ain't hoping in the Lord, huh? You hoping in vain, material, superstitious shit. That's why you can't see me, house niggas.
We have style, we got flavor, we got rhythm. I mean, the black man in America is the most copied man on this planet, bar none. Everybody want to be a nigga, but nobody want to be a nigga. How about that question?
Stupid bitch. It's not of competition, it's of cooperation. Stupid ass house nigga.
He was able to get that for Jenny, and it's unfortunate that things turned the way that they did. It was quite very nasty and personal. I took 2 Hawks and about 17 other people to the United Nations and introduced them to the platforms, and they all registered under NAAIP. And it was my hope that FANA was going to make some sort of presentation to introduce itself, because NAAIP was already introduced, but they didn't get a chance to do that, and I was selected to speak instead. And there was animosity about my being chosen to speak. And then when we arrived back in Rhode Island, we had what I call after-action review of all the things that took place at the UN. And 2 Hawks, all happy and joyful that he had gone to the United Nations, thought it was a great, great occasion, that it was oh so wonderful. And a few others, they kind of felt the same way. And at the end of their communication, I burst their bubble and told them that it was a farce, that it was awful, that it was a terrible representation of what should have been. NAAIP was already introduced, but they didn't get a chance to do that, and I was selected to speak instead. And there was animosity about my being chosen to speak. And then when we arrived back in Rhode Island, we had what I call after-action review of all the things that took place at the UN. And 2 Hawks, all happy and joyful that he had gone to the United Nations, thought it was a great, great occasion, that it was oh so wonderful. And a few others, they kind of felt the same way. And at the end of their communication, I burst their bubble and told them that it was a farce, that it was awful, that it was a terrible representation of what should have been, and that they failed in their approach to do what needed to be done to prepare the Federation for the hundreds and the thousands of individuals that were coming forward to NAAIP. They needed a place to go that would help to build their tribes, that would help to facilitate the learning of doing business and commerce as tribal people. Those things were not done because 2 Hawks decided to derail the process, and he took my after-action review chastisement as offensive, and we parted ways. And a year later, after I had filed litigations done to prepare the Federation for the hundreds and the thousands of individuals that were coming forward to NAAIP, they needed a place to go that would help to build their tribes, that would help to facilitate the learning of doing business and commerce as tribal people. Those things were not done because 2 Hawks decided to derail the process, and he took my after-action review chastisement as offensive, and we parted ways. And a year later, after I had filed litigations and protections to move in a direction to regain their land in Rhode Island and Massachusetts, he decided to make the statement of Tishkahumak is a fraud and NAAIP is a fraud. Yet he didn't tell the people that he was living under every doctrine that was put in place by NAAIP, and that he was following every instruction from Tishkahumak, and that everything that he was built on, including the cultural equity grants that he was now receiving, were facilitated by the communications that Tishkahumak wrote for him. He took NAAIP missions and provided those missions and projects as his own projects, as that he presented to these cultural equity grant associations in Rhode Island. So they gave him the grants, they gave him the money, So that's the real fraud. He has committed fraud because he has accepted money under false pretense, and quite a bit of it, and he continues to do that. That's the two hawks, Raymond Watson, that will not come forward to help people. And these things that I say about him, I stand behind them 100% because I've experienced those things with him. I carried the ball for him. I did all those things that that one is supposed to do in helping to nation build and bringing our people out of the condition that we've been in ignorance. So yeah, I'm tired of hearing about Raymond Two Hawks Watson, and at some point I may initiate litigation to actually receive some sort of concern because they have muddied my name. They have muddied a firm reputation of nation building for our people here in America, people called African American. And I've often, over the years, had to walk away from many people who brought up the topic of that because it was not something that I believed that I needed to discuss at the time. And I've been following my career. I've been following my direction. I've been following what's happening with Tushkahumak and the American Aborigine movement. We're into Mexico and we're into parts of South America. And throughout the Caribbean territory, we are well established and we're moving forward as a governmental body now. So there are a lot of things that did bother me initially, and they're beginning to fade and wane because I recognize my core position as the leader in this thing called the indigenous movement in America. And I know that I have awakened thousands and thousands and thousands of people. And it's amazing to me, and it's a pleasure to look at the various Facebook posts and clippings that people make, and those clippings are from my publications and my books. That's an honor, and I look at it just that way, as an honor, and not something that I deserve, but definitely something that has been bestowed upon me, and I'm thankful for that. You know, in moving forward, the Maipuri Aruan Nation is a nation that has its Declaration of Independence in place, that has its Constitution in place, and has established a firm constitutional body. And I'm very, very proud of this document, very proud of this document, because we have accomplished what others have failed to accomplish, and where others have struggled so long, we have answered prayers for them with the creation of the constitutional government of the Maipuri Aruan Nation. I believe that it's past time for, as they call it, Black America to wake up. We're stuck in the middle of this thing called 19. And we have many ways of protecting ourselves, but we have to unify and participate in the various aspects of unification. Self-healing is a great and huge part of that. As the Maipuri Nation, we have created and developed specialized teas that fight against 19 and these other creepy things that they keep calling about Satchascron and Otacron and whatever the crons and the cronites, etc. In approximately 10 days, we'll have those teas available for indigenous people all across the Americas. And we encourage you to boost your immune, stay away from high radiation areas. If you don't have to have your phone near you, keep it away from you. The phone is a source of radiation. But that's not the only source of radiation. The actual wires in your house aids in the radiation. Do things to keep your blood thin. The teas that we'll be providing here shortly will definitely assist you in fighting with the various concerns that are associated with 19. We have to unify and come together. I understand that there is a location called the it's www.maiporiaruanation.com. That's maiporiaruanation.com. I encourage everybody that hears this communication to go to maiporiaruanation.com.
When's we gonna be free? That is a good question, my man. How about nowish?
Yo, man. Peace to the tribes, man. Our time's up. You know how we rocking. Appreciate you for tuning in, man. Press 1 if you learned something. Tribe. We out of here, man.
Damn, son, where'd you find this?
Ain't really Indian, that boy fugazi. I just keep it player, you can never play me. You got an ass so fat, girl, let's make a baby. And another one. Then I'm back to the trap, I'm trying double some. She a bad woke chick and I love her tongue. We some jurisdiction boys, we some one-on-ones. Look, don't compare me to no Martin dog, I'm like Malcolm X. Die about our freedom, we'll leave a crack and stretch. Round of applause, boy, you know we clapping checks. Chucky dog, child's play, yeah, nigga, that's what's next. Open up the cans just like Arizona. Pull up masked up like we got the Rona. We set up jurisdictions when we bought a corner. How you claiming that's your hood and you not the owner? B2B, I just pulled up in the need for speed. Free the land, tell the colonizers that they need to leave. Wild Indian up in my veins, you know how we bleed. You ain't gotta lie about who we is, dog, just keep it G. We at war, we can't keep the peace. Since we at war, gotta keep the peace. Whack a cone, then I meditate. Should I need to breathe? Keep a Olmec head when we slide, dog, cause we the shit.
Like my niggas said, bitch, we the sheets. I can't keep the peace. If it pop off, then I want a piece. I'm just on release. I'm in go mode, motherfuck the thief. In these streets like EBT, when we at war, make peace with me. I don't give a damn, understand. Fuck who stole this land, white or black or tan. Understand, it's fuck who stole this land. Might have seen me get little buddy these hands. He wasn't no abo man. A lot of these dudes is Sambo man. They full of shit like my ammo.